the date they launched Artemis? Do you remember what day? What was that? April 1st?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was launched on April 1st, yes.
Yeah, it was the April Fools. They launched that. Oh, that's interesting. This is an observation.
As I said, I don't keep up with space.
Yeah, he's like, hold on, Bobby. Before we get into space, we got to go back to the Jews. And
that's the clip. That's the clip. That's the clip.
You're listening to the Art and More podcast with your hosts, Nathan and BR. Nathan is a Canadian illustrator with a couple years of military experience, and BR is a British anarchist that moved to the States. Both are passionate shooters and community builders. Together, they run the Seaburn art page. Enjoy the show.
I hit the record button. If Nathan says that again, then I have to delete it. And I currently have to. I'm gonna drink to forget that whole comment. All right, guys, welcome back to the Art and War podcast.
Hello.
I am BR, joined by my co-host Nathan and Alcoholic from Down Under.
Oh no.
And today we have returning, after a long absence from the show, returning special guest, Mr. Wardall.
what up, fam?
How's it going, man?
Dude, I like how formal we're being, even though we were just
I
in the shit about turkey basters.
I get 20 seconds of formality, and then the rest of the show is just like
very professional. I feel like this is my fight intro. You're like, hey, this is it's for you. Tell everybody some of my best attributes are making tea that's too hot to drink and then forgetting about it. And then by the time I come back to drink it, it's cold. You guys do that? That's my hidden talent.
Yeah, you put it down somewhere and then just...
Yeah, that's me, man. That's what I'm known for, right?
See, you just gave yourself away as a Commonwealth man. I think it's funny, to me, Canadians can like often get by with like, oh, maybe he's American, maybe he's Canadian. But for those who are not familiar with Wardall, he is behind the maple curtain.
We're behind enemy lines. And most people don't know that because most of my customers, my followers, my homies on Twitter, they're all American.
Yeah, and your content is very American.
Well, I was going to say some of the firearms I have are very American because I have a special film permit, part of my production company. So I have
that's awesome.
I don't know if I've shown you this. I have an actual made in Russia AKM. So that's actually something you can't get in the U.S. Is either an embargo or a ban or something on Russia.
Isn't that funny? I've
got it in Canada and they can't have it there. That's wild, man.
It's very wrong, but no, good on you. I mean, so yeah, it's getting interesting over there. I'm sure we'll get into all sorts of stuff relating to Canada, but I mean, you've been people who maybe don't necessarily recognize Wardall will have probably at some point seen like your flags, my personal favorite, support your local insurgency, and a lot of the kind of propaganda bits that you sell out at your store. But
and OGs will remember you from the 2023 episode.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But no, like really, really good vibes from behind enemy lines. There was a support your local insurgency flag flying in our studio not too long ago.
Nice.
Phil took it. He moved across the states. Now it's with him. But
okay, yeah.
I need to get another one for the house. But
yes, me too.
That's been hey, I know the guy that makes them, but yeah, man, that was a popular one. Funny enough, yeah. Where do I begin? Yeah, being behind the maple curtain. It's an iron curtain, man. I mean, it's just so Nathan will know, right? It's just
oh my god.
I said previously, it's not a serious country. If anyone, I mean, if Somalia could somehow muster up a force to come invade us, we wouldn't be able to defend ourselves against them. Like, it's not a functioning military. There's no logistics. Warfare is just basically supply chain and logistics. There's none of that here. I remember when I released, so I spent 3 years as an infantryman. When I released in 2016, they sent everybody an email saying, hey, you guys, if you have any of your sleeping bags, like your issued sleeping bags, can you bring them back in? We don't have enough new troops. Yeah, for kids coming through on basic. And I'm like, that was 2016, man. I mean, you can just Google pictures of guys in Afghanistan. Everybody's wearing their own kit. They bought their own boots. Some of these guys bought their own optics, so they didn't use that junky L-can that we were issuing.
Oh, the L-can. Like, all the tritium was dead on all of them.
Yeah, man, just garbage. So it's
Yeah.
not a serious country, man. If it wasn't for the US, we would be invaded by, I don't know, Russia, China. I mean, the amount of resources we have. So
Just
it's
like
funny.
Liechtenstein, like anywhere.
Yeah, man. It's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing? We're not a serious place. I don't know why we're pretending. I don't know if you guys want to get into the whole sovereignty movement. Have you seen any of that going on with the
Alberta.
Alberta separation?
I saw
movement?
that. Yeah.
It's interesting. Hey, I'll tell you my opinions on it. We got some time. It's interesting, man. I haven't actually signed that. I really wanted to take my time and think about it. And I wanted to think about it from let's just talk about an economic standpoint.
Yeah.
So you've got Alberta, and if you know anything about the history of Rhodesia, you know that a landlocked nation has a hard time exporting resources, importing resources. You better have a good relationship with all your neighbors, right? So let's say that this Alberta separation movement follows through, which I get a lot of people are signing it because they don't actually want to leave. They just want some type of bargaining chip when it comes to the table. That's under the assumption that anybody out east has any regard or care for any of our concerns. So they don't care if you bring a bargaining chip or a machine gun to the table. It's of no consequence to them, but I digress. Economically, it's not even a serious policy, because how would we get our oil out? I mean, there would be so much pressure on BC to shun us. It would be kind of like the South Africa situation as it relates to Rhodesia, where yeah, we should be friends, but due to international pressure, we're not. And so they kind of give us the cold shoulder. So if we can't get our stuff out that way, the only people we could get our oil, our lumber, anything out to would be the US. But the thing with the US is they don't owe us anything. We're a separate entity. So we're either going to become the 51st state and, sacrifice our resources in return, get, a proper constitution. Or if we don't do that, they're just going to hose us with like, hey, we're going to buy your oil, but at this discounted rate, because who else are you going to sell it to? Right. And that's just an economic standpoint. The other thing, too, is people are so upset with government overreach in Alberta. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Most of the pastors that got arrested in Canada were arrested in Alberta. And it wasn't even federal law enforcement. It was like it was municipal. Like
80s, yeah.
Yeah, man. So it's like, what are we doing? If we separate, that wouldn't have solved any of those problems. And we're bringing in how many hundreds of thousands? I know nationally it's like over 1 million immigrants every year. I'm not sure what those numbers are to Alberta.
It's important to note that Canada's population, at least when I left, was like 30 mil. Yeah. So that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and who even knows? Like, I've heard 39 million, and I'm like, I'm not sure. I don't know, but even if you're bringing, let's say it's somewhere in the middle of those two numbers, you're bringing in 1 million people every year, and you've been doing that since the 80s, because they've created this immigration pipeline. Yeah. You look up a number. What do you?
41 million. So if the last time I looked it up, it was about 30. It's like between 30 and 32 million. It's gone up by like almost 25%, and that's within the last.
That's a crazy percentage for a country to have grown in like 3-4 years.
Well, and here's the thing too. Look at the top places these immigrants are coming from. Number one is in the last 5 years, I believe. I don't know if I'm reading this correctly, but I thought the last 5 years, the top place where immigrants were coming from was India, right? Yeah. I mean, you guys know that bus that crashed, that semi truck that crashed and killed that bus full of hockey kids.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was an immigrant from India, because what they're doing is they're not bringing over their best. They're not bringing over the highly educated. They're bringing over here, because we got some time. Let me tell you my opinions on this too. The reason we've had this immigration crisis since the 80s is it's under the guise of an economic solution, right? So here's what they do. They bring into your small town, they bring in a Starbucks, they bring in 3 Tim Hortons, they bring in an Edo Japan, they bring all these multinational conglomerate businesses that are owned by people that have never stepped foot in your country, right? And then they say, well, we need 30 people to staff this. And you've got 10 of these different stores that all require 30 different people, and your small town can't possibly keep up with that labor demand. So what does the government see? They see lost tax wages, and they see a labor shortage. How are we going to solve that? Unskilled immigrants coming in. And that's been the pipeline, to change the ethnic makeup of our country under the guise of an economic solution to a labor crisis that literally doesn't even exist. And it's like, well, if you just look back at history and you use something like, the economic policy of protectionism, where it's like, wait a minute, let's kick all these guys out because all they're doing is just exploiting our resources. Let's kick these guys out. Let's have 2 mom and pop shops owned by somebody locally. Let's staff them with local kids. And because there are only 2 shops, we can keep up with that labor demand. And then all that local commerce, all that money stays in the community. And then we're not just being exploited by multinational groups. But no, that's the reasonable solution. Let's just bring in immigrants 1 million years since the 80s. And that's a better solution, right?
That is something I've actively noticed since getting here. Like when I left Canada, and I've noticed this for years, everything was a corpo. Everything. Yeah. There's barely any mom and pop shops. There's barely any like mom and pop restaurants. Everything's just big corpo. It's like, okay, you want to go to Sephora, you want to go to Starbucks, you want to go to McDonald's, you want to go to like our equivalent of Applebee's, I guess. Like everything was a chain. It was usually a multinational chain. Yeah. Here, since I've got here, like I don't see chains anywhere. They're all mom and pop shops. Like we have an Applebee's at the edge of town and a Walmart, I guess, but like 99% of my shopping I can do at small business.
That's how it should be, man. It probably has something to do with the fact that, Trudeau obviously not in power anymore, but back in the day, years ago, he said Canada's the first post-nationalist state. And what he really meant when he said that was we're open for business to the national, globalist agenda. Like anybody from anywhere can come in and exploit our people, our finances, our nation, do whatever you want. This is essentially what he said, right? In different words. But yeah, man, that's how it should be. It should be local mom and pop shops. It should be money staying within the community. And then, you know what? I've never seen a mom and pop shop have a pride flag on it. So all these multinational, all these companies are all owned by BlackRock and Vanguard anyway. Yeah. So it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing?
I will say there's a couple here. There's a couple here, but that's the beauty of small business, that you can kind of just do whatever the fuck you want, and everyone can choose to go there or choose not to.
And to be fair, like coffee from a place that doesn't have a pride flag in the window, usually shit.
Yeah, I hate to say it's like
I need some chaos baristas.
Yeah, I've got 3 choices for coffee shop. It's like the Christian place that always fucks up my order. Yeah. Get it from like a skinny fucking gender fluid, whatever the hell. Or get it from a corpo. Like those are my 3. So I bought a drip coffee maker, so it's been going pretty well.
I'm the same way, but with the bar. So if I go into a bar and I'm going to order an old fashioned, I look over at the bartender, and same thing. If it's some gender fluid looking dude that is not sure what team he's playing for, I'm like, that guy he's not going to make me a good old fashioned. Just give me a Guinness.
They usually make pretty good coffee, though. I'll give them that.
Yeah. It's like they them will make the shit out of your coffee.
Yeah, they make shit alcohol, but they'll make the shit out of a frappuccino.
Yeah, exactly. Right. If I'm going to a bar and I want an old fashioned, I want some like 50-year-old woman who's maybe missing a tooth and grew up in the trailer park. I'm like, I know you know how to make an old fashioned. You've been making them since you were 9. Like now,
not a hint of a smile. Grumpy, like swings it over to you,
slaps it on the table.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, how I want it.
Yeah. My favorite bartender here is like he's probably around my age. He's but he dresses like an old timey bartender 100% of the time. Like he's like, but I don't know. He's married. He's works at a small bar downtown, but he just dresses like he's got the sleeves rolled up and all of that. He makes the fuck out of an old fashioned.
You just feel like you're entering an episode of Cheers or something.
Yeah.
No doubt, eh?
Yeah, homeboy knows who he is. I respect that.
To your point about kind of the the corporations and everything, unfortunately it's so horribly simple. Like these politicians, it's all a chance to enrich themselves, and they view our communities and our countries as economic zones. That's it.
Yes.
Like it's as simple as that. They don't give a fuck like how the money is made. They just, as you said, they want as much possible tax revenue as possible, so they can launder it into whatever bullshit. Whether it's like offshore research, like we have over here, like the fucking the sexual proclivity of pigeons on cocaine in Japan. Like what the fuck? Like Rand Paul. That's one of my favorite ones to bring up.
I was thinking the other day, I was wondering about exactly that and the pigeons and the cocaine.
We need to know.
Sexual proclivity. I'm like, I wonder if someone studied that. I'm so glad to hear that someone's tax dollars have gone to that. Though I also wonder if somebody literally bought a yacht with that money and it was like, let's literally put the most random outrageous thing in the
Yeah.
paperwork, right? Like
It's
that.
like USAID.
Who knows? But
Oh, sorry, you go. Yeah.
oh no, I was just gonna wrap up. Like, they don't care about, like, you know, what the business is. Like, that's why you go through, you know, in some states, and I'm sure in Canada too, you go through some towns and it is just nothing but chains, and it's like,
Yeah.
like they don't care that there's no soul, there's no identity. It's like,
Yeah.
no, we're maximizing the square footage, and it kind of it drives into everything, because now we have you know, every one of these little businesses is just like a little gray box that if that business goes out, like they're just holding the real estate, so it's just a gray box that they can take down the signage and put anything else in there. And
Yeah.
it's led to this, like, you know, we can discuss this term, but people saying late stage capitalism, I'm like, they have a point. Like, there is at least late stage cronyism, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
It's we're just in this soulless time.
Yeah.
It's interesting, man. The nice thing about being chronically on the internet is I've got my finger on the pulse of, we'll call it like the digital culture, which itself I think is a reflection of what's going on, right? It's kind of the 21st century corner of the pub, right? People are saying what they really want to say and how they really feel, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I love the anonymity of being on the internet, because like you can be in a corner of a pub and you can be a little half cut with the boys and say something and you'll say the same thing on the internet, right? Because that's important. We need to know what our fellow man is thinking. And being on the internet, I'm noticing people are really waking up to what's going on. They're understanding our nation's being exploited. They understand the problems with immigration. They understand a lot of things that if you had said even 5 years ago, whoa, that's racist, people would have accused you of all sorts of horrific, mean words. And I think an important thing to do is to steer the conversation towards a solution, because I know even me personally, I always get caught up in like, well, this is what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, I get that's what they're doing. How do we stop them?
Yeah.
Right. And I love history, man. I mean, if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm just basic, man. I'm reading a couple books every month. And right now I'm doing I'm reading about the Spanish Civil War, which is a super fascinating. We'll get into that a little bit later.
I think quite relevant to the times we're going through.
Yeah, man. Well, even more so relevant is prior to the a long time before the Spanish Civil War, the Reconquista, right? So you had a 770-year war where it was the Spanish Christian states expelling the Muslim invaders at what the time was called. It was basically retaking Spain, right? And I remember reading that going like, okay, there's the solution, but how do I need to read some books. I need to understand that. What took place culturally, what took place, not even just economically, but politically, in order to create a situation where that was even possible. And so the funny thing is, like, we got 4-year terms for presidents, for prime ministers, you name it. That's the Western world. That's liberal progressivism, right? You got 4-year terms.
You wouldn't imagine in Canada, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
right.
15 years of the same party.
Yeah, man, no limits, right? But here's the funny thing is you've got a 4-year term. You can't even keep your enemies and your allies straight over the course of that 4 years. Somebody's your enemy and they become your friend, and then they become like there's no continuity of political, we'll call it even like policy, wartime policy, anything. There's just no continuity.
Blame, like who's responsible. Like you can just constantly flip flop and be like, no, that was the blue guys. No, it was the red guys.
Yeah, it's just like sports ball, but just for politics, man. And I'm so I tell people this all the time, man. It's like, if you think what color tie sitting in that special chair matters, you're not going to make it, man. Like, only God can save us now, right? And as I relate that back to the Reconquista, what they had at the time was they had a monarchy, right? And so you had a system of governance where it was like, I'm the king and my dad's dad before me was the king, and they shed their blood, and this was like, this is important to them, and I'm going to carry on their, tradition, their legacy. So you look at that, you compare that to a modern day 4 years government structure compared to like, I'm on the 6th generation of king right now. Don't get me wrong. I know for every Nero, there's a Constantine. For every John, there's the Richard the Lionheart, right? You get the good and the bad. But I think liberal progressivism has thrown out the baby with the bathwater, in the sense that, like, why did we get away from the monarchy? Because I look at that cathedral that took 400 years to build, and I look at like anything modern Bolshevik brutalist that we've made nowadays in the cities, I'm like, we used to make beautiful things. And we only did that when we did those things for God. And that was the whole point of the monarchy, was like, we follow the king follows God. Now, obviously, we've all read Animal Farm, right? And the monarchy had some real issues, right? I should say the monarchs had issues. I don't want to throw away the entire system. But I'm looking at these history books and I'm reading that going, okay, if we were to ever wage, whether it was physically or whether it was spiritually or culturally, if we were to ever wage a multi-generational war, we could never do it under liberal progressivism, because I just drove downtown a couple days ago and I'd seen this homeless guy on the side of the street covered in his own vomit. I'm like, okay, that guy's vote is equal to mine. And he probably votes. Or if he doesn't physically vote, he's on a paper roll somewhere and they just make him digitally vote. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are we doing here, right? We used to have an aristocracy. We used to have something where even they used to do that again, going back to Rhodesia, where it was like you had to be a landowner, you had to be educated, you had to have certain requirements. And it was basically saying, we're not all equal. And that's okay, right? You can be equal in terms of like human worth and value and human rights, but we're not all equal in terms of abilities, in terms of our capabilities, our intelligence. There's things I'm very good at that nobody else is good at. And there's things I'm very bad at that somebody else is very good at, right? So to pretend that we're all just sitting in this, we'll call it democracy. I hate that word. It's like, oh, great, we're all just equal. And most people are path of least resistance individuals. And certainly that will only send us on a direction of like great things where we'll build good things. No, why is that not happening? Oh, because democracy is basically the chrysalis of communism, man. And we're headed towards that. Certainly in Canada, we're a few more steps ahead of America. But yeah, man, where I was going with that is the 770-year war of the Reconquista. The political conditions were a monarchy. And the religious conditions were essentially everyone was Catholic. And I don't know, maybe they're on to something. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think of all that?
I worry the idea of like, because my assumption, kind of what I've based everything, perhaps, and keep in mind, I'm cynical. Like I look through the lens of someone who lived in Canada as you did and do. And my assumption is like you give someone an inch, they'll take a mile. Like you give someone the ability to seek power, and only the worst people will do that regardless. But yeah, my assumption is like the more restrictions you put on something, and like on paper, I kind of believe that to a degree, that like low information voters, and then basically like all of democracy has turned into like a popularity contest. We're just living in like the end stage results of the movie Idiocracy, as much as people will make fun of that. And I don't really think there's any coming back from that. Like our human nature is to be kind of like lazy and weak, and you find exceptions to that, and like the exceptions to that are kind of like not the norm, I guess, especially in cities. Like, and while I think about people in cities, and I think about like all the voters that I knew, all the people who, what they prioritized and everything else, and it's like, wow, I do not want these people running the country. But at the same time, like every time you give the government the ability to be like, you and you can vote because you own property, you are educated, you can so and so. And then I think about like educational institutions and like the people who have money and the people I know that own property, and they're all like shit libs. They're all like neoliberal like assholes. And I'm like, oh, wait. Like, and obviously I'm getting like really specific on this particular example. Like, obviously reality can change. And again, I'm looking at where I live now through rose-colored lenses. There's no two ways around it. But everything is built around like local governance. Everything is just like, and you kind of have to be self-sufficient to live out in one of these towns. You have to be somewhat outdoorsy. You probably aren't ridiculously online and mentally ill, and I'm sure those people exist. But like on average. And like for that, I want like, okay, cool. There's a town. The town will take care of itself, and to a limited degree, they will arrange trade with other towns. They will arrange trade with the city. The state exists more or less to like keep the borders protected, I guess. The culture of the politics here mirrors the culture of, you know, the microcosms that exist here. Like there's push and pull, and you don't see that in Canada. Everything's just a fucking mono party. That's existed for a really long time. I think a lot of that is cultural. Like people don't realize how much influence the federal politics has on Canada versus how much it has here, where you don't really see the results. And obviously it can be better, and it should. I would like, I hesitate to use the word balkanize, but I've always liked the idea of stripping the power from the worst people at the top, because the more you centralize it, the more of those worst people, like in Idiocracy, there was Leo Camacho, who wasn't necessarily evil, but he was the most entertaining, and that's why people voted for him. Yeah, at the end of the day, he ended up being a pretty good guy, but you know, like I guess another example would be literally Satan, and literally Satan will always win, because I think politics as it stands, and in both countries, in all countries, really, we will, like, it rewards people for being evil. So the evil people will always win. And we're seeing that on all sides. I don't want to say just like, oh, the Democrats, oh, like Kamala, oh, Trump, like evil people.
You are a cynic, brother. Hey,
yeah, no, the evil people will always win. I was like, damn, that's a horrible thing to.
Yeah, but like straight up, look at federal politics. Name like a good person that's not.
Oh no.
Yeah, like you can't think of any, because they don't really exist. There's a couple that like I'd like to trust, like Thomas Massey and stuff. Like I like him, but he's nuked his career to the point where, because he's going up against big Yahoo, big whatever, you know, so and so, he's never going to rise above his station. They're actively going to try and get rid of him. Yeah, because like, and again, I'd like to think he's not evil. He won't succeed, if that makes sense. So yeah, what I would suggest. Sorry?
What is that, dog whining, or what does that sound? Is that somebody's stomach growling? It's your dog. I was like, what does that sound? Hilarious.
He moves the camera, there's just some guy on the floor covered with like tape on his mouth and everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sorry, that was really loud. Now she's just rubbing her face into the blanket.
What does that sound? No, you make some good points, man. You're definitely a cynic. Here's my rebuttal.
Yeah, it's like a cynic, but not, because like on a local level, this works really well. Like I like small government for what it can do sometimes in the right situation. And I know that sounds really cynical, but like I feel pretty confident saying it. Sorry, go on.
You mean like on a federal level in terms of that? Like, yeah, it's just as you said with like the Thomas Massey example. He won't get past that kind of thing. I kind of agree with you on that. Where it's like he won't, because it's just such a sports team mentality now. It's like the moment you start kind of like being like, I don't want to do this whole sports team thing, and it's like, all right, well, too bad you're not on either side now, and we're just gonna both go against you.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. It's so here's my rebuttal, Nathan. Here's my thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think Satan wins.
Yeah, but like when I said Satan wins, I don't mean that like literal, old neck.
Yeah, and you're not wrong in the sense that we live in a world where. Now, how deep can I go with this? Right, we live in a world where evil exists, and the systems in place reward that type of behavior. That's just the nature of it, right? And that's why I like reading through history, because any modern problem we have is not something new. Right? There's nothing.
It's wild how much of history applies. Like people will shit on studying history. It's like, no, this is all cyclical. Just the mechanisms that we have change. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's good to be cynical. And I think, man, I agree with so much of what you said. Right. So it's like they're rewarding this behavior. But I think what people are afraid of when it comes to government is they want to neuter the government, and they want to keep the government as neutral as possible, as not uniparty, shouldn't use uniparty, like as middle of the aisle as possible. But I think that's a false, I think the biggest problem with that is the government has not been neutered. It's not neutral. It's actively being used against us. And if we don't fight back and weaponize it, then we're just going to continue down the road we're on, right? And so there's this fear, and I think it's a cultural indoctrination thing where we're like, well, we have to be neutral. And the demographic equivalent of that is like, well, we just have to be inviting everyone into our borders, right? Because what it's really doing is you're negating the idea of competition. And in nature, competition means something will win and something will lose. And so the government, to try to keep it neutral, to kind of keep it, neutered, for a lack of a better term, is not possible. They're weaponized and they're being used against us. And if we don't do something to turn that tide and to level the playing field, then it'll just continue on that path, right? And that's why when I look back, now again, these are ideas I have. I'm fleshing this out. I like running these ideas past you guys, because when I look at history, I go, that worked. Was it perfect? Not at all. And nothing will be perfect till Christ comes back and rules with his iron scepter, right? But back then, I'm like, we used to build beautiful things. We used to do good things. And now everything sucks. Everything is fake and gay. And I'm like, so where did we go wrong? Right? And I mean, I'm not going to say that the solution to the problem is the monarchy, because I think the monarchy, apart from Christ, is essentially communism, just with a different name, right? And so really, when I'm studying the Reconquista, the conclusion I came to was it hit me in the head when I started looking at the Spanish Civil War. So when I was looking at the Spanish Civil War, one of the I think it was the Prime Minister of Spain at the time, it was either at the start of the Civil War or just prior to, he basically said Spain had ceased to become Catholic, right? And that to me was the key. That was we'll call it the fulcrum, the apex. That was the critical, we'll call it even the catalyst. That was the cause of the war, right? And there was a whole bunch of statistics about like priests were saying mass in these small towns alone. It was like single digit numbers in terms of people who actually were showing up to church on a weekly basis. And I thought, yeah, monarchy sounds great, but it won't work unless the entire people group are Christian. And even, I'm not to say that all of Spain back during the Reconquista years was 100% Catholic. And even of that percentage that claimed to be Catholic, how many of them were true believers? I don't know. I mean, there's certainly something to say about, if your government acts a certain way, then what becomes culturally acceptable is kind of guided by that, we'll call it value, that ideal. So even if you're not a believer in Christ, you're like, well, I'm not going to do certain things because that's outside Overton's window. That's culturally unacceptable because my king said so and he's right. So, I mean, there's some type of precedent there, but ultimately, man, I mean, if I could tie this back to not just Canada, but the world as a whole, I think our biggest problem is we've turned away from God. And that's not even me saying that. That's Alexander Solzhenitsyn, man. You've read the Gulag Archipelago, I'm sure, right? They talk about how could you sum up this ruinous revolution that killed 80 million of our people. And he said, men have forgotten God. And for Spain, it was men had stopped being Catholic. They had just it had become cultural to them. They didn't care about God, right? And I think what we're seeing in our society now is no system can function because the culture, the economy, politics, everything is held together by the foundation of religion, because religion is our ideals, our beliefs. And of course, we have this massive chasm separating left versus right or progressive versus conservative, whatever you want to call it. Like, of course, we're so polarized because we have, the religion, the foundation of our values and ideals, we've thrown that away. We've gotten rid of God and we've just gone our own separate ways. So there's no thing that holds us together. And if I could give you a really succinct example of this, when I got married, the best advice my old man gave me, he said, son, the woman you marry now will not be the same woman in 5 years. You'll either grow together or you'll grow apart. And the reason that my marriage is what it is because we have focused on God, right? So what does that mean? That sounds like voodoo. That sounds like magic. Oh, we focus on God, everything will magically work out. No, what that really means is our foundational beliefs and our values, anything from how we parent our kids to how we spend our money to like what we're doing, we've put that foundation as on God. Now there's a lot of nuance to that. There's a lot of different, obviously, there's Catholics, there's Protestants, there's a lot of different interpretations of the word, but ultimately we have our foundation there. And I think if you can apply that concept in marriage, I think the same thing you can apply at a national level. It's like, what are we aiming at, man? We've got people whose highest goal on one side is like, economy. How can we make GDP go up, right? And then on the other side of things, right, the antithesis to that is you've got people whose highest goal is ethnic homogeneity. Like, and we want an actual racist state of just all white people We don't actually care what they believe in. And so you've got all these different fracturing parts of society, and nothing's holding them together. So if I were to take a guess, man, as using history as my guide, how are we going to turn this ship around if it isn't too late already, which it very well may be? It's like, man, if we don't turn back to God, what are we going to do? Nathan's got a rebuttal for that, I'm sure. Hey,
no, I don't. The thing is, it's not even really a rebuttal. It's just like my thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I wish I wasn't so cynical, but I say this as a Christian. I think that ship has sailed. I wish that people would turn back more to, like, not even just God, but like I feel like the word's traditional values have been so poisoned by the internet.
Yeah. Newspeak, right?
When I say that, I don't necessarily mean like what the internet would say. I just mean like self-governance and like taking care of themselves and their families. I don't even mean like let's force the women in the kitchen or whatever. Like I'm not trying to be like that. I just mean like let's not have big daddy government like change our diapers for us kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I think kind of to what you were saying earlier, man, like fuck, no, I didn't just lose that, did I?
You just lost it, eh?
Oh no.
I was going to say, in terms of politics, at least what happens though is it's like, yeah, turn back to God, but the issue is a lot of these politicians are just going to completely grift that because, as you were saying, what's culturally acceptable?
Yeah.
So
and
when you have,
we see Donald Trump as a good example of that. Like someone who ran on ostensibly a bunch of, like, it, you know, again.
I know what you meant, but it's like now it's like he's so far from where it's like you'd be silly to. Yeah. But yeah, he ran on that kind of thing.
There's no consequences anymore for him, like, going full mask off. So he's like, yeah, fucking whatever. Like, let's just pander to the rich people now because fuck it. Like, what can you do? I'm out in 2 years. So
he is a Red Cross doctor.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was gonna say it seems like people are upset with him because I remember, you know, when he first got on, people were like, "All right, this guy is he's the working man's voice, right? This is the guy." Kind of reminds me of
the New York Democrat billionaire is the working man's voice.
Yeah. I mean, we could. Yeah, it's hindsight's 2020, right? But it reminds me of Arnold Palmer when he started playing golf professionally. He was in like oil. He'd be in commercials for like oil. You know, like Pennzoil or whatever it was, right? It was like, this was like the working man and he made it, right? It was kind of that vibe. But it's funny, man, you know, just being on Twitter and seeing what my American homies are thinking, it seems like a lot of people are upset with him now because, like you said, it was a mask off moment. It's like, well, wait a minute. Did you just exploit us to get into this position of power? And then all these promises you made, you didn't actually make them. And then I thought we weren't going into another Middle Eastern war for all eternity.
That's like part of his whole thing was no more wars. He went back on literally everything. And I'll say this because, like, again, if you're not in America, you don't really see it. Like, it's pretty safe to say, like, I live in North Idaho, and, you know, the nature of my hobbies and my show and my beliefs and all of that, I have a lot of conservative friends, like generally Christian conservative. I have never met one under the age of 50 that genuinely, even from the beginning, was excited about Donald Trump. No one thought that he was going to do. I think, like, the internet makes it seem like there's a lot more MAGA than there is, when in actuality it's more like, hey, both parties suck, but this party is going to suck less. I will vote for him as it's the lesser of two evils. And this has kind of been like this since the, like, and the overall, it's like, yeah, everything really sucks. I'm glad Kamala didn't get in, but everything really sucks. It seems to be.
I think it's the humiliation ritual of like the second term where it's like mask off. Oh, we actually are Israel's bitch. Like that is a kick in the fucking balls for like the average American.
Yeah,
it's global, man. We got that in Canada too. There's pictures of Mark Carney. So Mark Carney, the Prime Minister now, there's pictures of him hanging out with Ghislaine Maxwell. Did they not just interview Jeffrey Epstein on that podcast? Was that last week? Or the dude's got the same stutter, the same like facial features, like they put it in a system that matches. That like this is like
Palm Beach Pete. Yeah,
man. Like, what do we? It's a humiliation ritual. It's exactly what it is, man. And it's like, what are we doing here? What's the solution? Because we all know what's going on. We all know that this is here's what it is, man. It's Weimar. We know it's Weimar. And the problem is, everyone's looking at a historical solution being like, 1930s Germany solution seemed like that was the problem, the solution to the problem. But then if you read Hellstorm, which talked about how Germany suffered after 1945, you're like, well, that didn't work out either. So what the hell is the solution to this problem, right? Like, what are we supposed to do? I don't know.
Yeah, there's no like clean things, and the only thing that I can think of, and again, it's messy, but like, and I'm not passionate about it. I'm not going to get up and be like, we need to balkanize, but like, in my opinion, it is the least of a lot of really bad options. But I'm not passionate enough to like say we should do it. Like I'm not like, yes, we need to break the country up. Maybe something will help. Maybe we will get that like benevolent non-dictator, like maybe we will get someone who actually gives a fuck, because even a balkanization would be very destructive, but a civil war would be catastrophic. Like I don't think anyone with any sense wants that.
No, man, nobody wants that. Well, it's interesting too, because balkanization, there's a lot of merit to that, right? I mean, that was the history of Europe, which is the nature of politics, and that's just how it was. It was just endless balkanization, right? The borders have changed in some of these places so many times, you can't even keep track of it, right? The interesting thing too, because I mentioned already that people are afraid to use the power of the government. The nice thing, just another advocation for the monarchy here, is that when people think of the monarchy, they kind of think of it like it was just this communist dictator, right?
Yeah.
But the reality was, you look at, the lore of King Arthur, you had all these powerful barons and heads of these families that you had to consolidate in unity before you could do anything. So it wasn't like an unchecked balance thing. It was basically, again, aristocracy, where it was like these families only came into existence, not just because they're wealthy, but they were good at fighting, which I'll stop right there and say, we need to stop listening to people that can't throw a punch. Like, I'm not voting for another person. I'm not listening to anybody unless they can hold their own in a bar fight, man. Like, that's got to be a prerequisite here. If you can't
change
fight,
the presidential debates to boxing fights, is what you're saying.
I'm telling you, man. The Celts had an old saying. They said, "Don't let anyone near a sword who can't dance." Right, and it talked about the duality of man. Like everybody loves James Bond. Why? Because he's a gentleman. He's an intellectual. He's all these things, but he's capable of violence. It's like, so now we just have these talking heads, these figureheads. Anyway, going back to my original point, the nice thing about, for example, historically reading about the monarchy was that you had to be a King Arthur. You had to be that type of person in order to unify these powerful families. And so there was checks and balances, right? Because ultimately there kind of was a balkanization where it was like this family ruled this area and this family here. And if they didn't like what you were saying, man, there was going to be no unity, and they're not going to come bring their army to fight with you, right? And so the balkanization concept you're talking about, not only is it not anything new, but I think it's actually really good, because each state, each province, whatever it is, whatever nation you're talking about, I think there needs to be autonomy. And the only reason for like a state government is, like you said, is to manage the borders. And the only reason for a national government is to protect the national borders. Otherwise, I think somebody, like, to use Canada as an example, I'm on one side of the country, and then people are making decisions for me on the other side of the country. I have no idea about culturally what it's like living where I live. That was the irony of 2020 COVID, having the government tell me what to do. And it's like, wait a minute, you are so many layers removed from me, right? Because I am a father, I'm a husband. And when you become a man, you are master of that domain. You understand your immediate environment. You understand the needs. You understand the requirements. You understand your capabilities, and you make decisions based on that. That's what it means to be a man. And then when the government comes in, they're like, you got to do this. You're like, well, wait a minute, man. Not only are you not even my state government, which would represent me better, my provincial government, you're just the federal government, which is literally further away than if you were to look at this from quantify it in terms of like units of Europe, you're like 6 countries over from me telling me how to live my life, right? It's literally thousands of kilometers, thousands of miles away. It's like you have no idea what's going on here, right? So the idea of balkanization, where it's essentially your government locally, I think there's some serious credibility to that, man.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing I just constantly come back to. It's like I'm pretty realistic. I'm pretty fucking anti-government, and I'm pretty not cynical, but like critical of all this kind of stuff, like consolidation of power. Like, you know, any Commonwealth resident just sees how badly it can go, and even Americans have seen, you know, like federal policy where, you know, one powerful agency or another gets their kind of way, and all of a sudden we're like, you know, medical tyranny, or like, firearm gun right infringement tyranny, whatever it might be. Even just, you know, bad policies like, hey, we're going to go into a war that none of us agreed to. Oh, now my lifestyle is completely uprooted. My ability to provide for my family, like, you know, cost of groceries and fuel and all that just skyrocket. Yeah,
my car, people are going to yell at me. It cost me $40 to fill from empty the other day.
Now
I was paying like 24 a couple months ago.
You didn't even share with our guest what you drive.
Oh,
yeah,
he knows.
let's hear it, Nathan. What are you driving, buddy?
Dude, I drive a Prius V 2014.
Prius.
It's got 215,000 miles on it. That thing will never die.
It almost died, but it's back.
It almost died, but we replaced the engine for $1,200.
What's that Will Ferrell movie with you know, the Florida and the Prius? That's all I can think of.
What, the other guys?
Yeah, the other guys. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I love it. It is the ultimate sleeper car. Like, I beat that thing around like back road Idaho trails.
Doesn't it have to have the ability to like blow somebody's doors off in a race to be a sleeper? I think that thing's like, I don't think.
When I say a sleeper car, I mean
it's the gray man vehicle.
Yeah, no one looks at me twice.
Okay. Yeah,
no one looks at the belt fed in the trunk. No one looks at like.
I didn't notice the belt fed in the Prius.
So you see that half Asian man driving a Prius, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah, with the Starbucks cup and glasses on."
This guy doesn't even know what a gun is.
But that being said, like, it was the ultimate sleeper car in Canada. It really isn't here because everyone drives pickups. So now I kind of want to get a pickup, but I don't.
A little more, hey.
Yeah, it's not really worth it because like most of the time I go for a drive, it's like 5 hours away, 3 hours away, 90 minutes away.
You gotta have a small vehicle, man. Things, dude. I'm buying diapers, dude. Gas is expensive. Like, I got a little Toyota that's like same thing. Cost me like $70 to fill up, and it's like, okay, that's better than your vehicle that's 120, right? So you gotta have something to rip around in. But you know, it'd be funny just to combine the ideas here, Bobby and Nathan. The balkanization thing is kind of nice because imagine if every state or every province had their own army. Yeah. And then the leader was like, hey, we're going to war. And then, you know, North Idaho was like, no, we're not.
Yeah, no fuck that.
What do you mean You guys got worms? Like, we're not coming type thing, right?
No.
That would be nice if there was autonomy there. It was like not a national military per se, or maybe it existed in some different capacity as we understand it now. But it'd be nice if there was that steps in separating governance between like the guy in the top. Because I'm not saying I'm even looking at history books and advocating for some, I'm not even expecting a benevolent dictator, right?
Yeah.
I'm not expecting someone who's just going to be like, I'm going to do the right thing all the time, because I don't think those things exist. I mean, everybody likes to make movies about King David in the Bible, right? And that guy was awesome, right? Well, the dude literally committed murder because he wanted the wife of some other guy. Like, there's just, you go down the list, right? Even Moses.
Like immediately when you said that, like the King Arthur thing, like the rebuttal would be Henry VIII. But like, obviously that's not the point. The point is like a self-checking system of governance. I didn't say anything.
Yeah. And the funny thing is too, man, I like to talk about this because I don't know that anyone else is coming up with solutions, right? Yeah. And I feel like the people that are within these spheres that we're operating in that are coming up with solutions are either paid actors, they're feds, or they're just idiots. And somehow I don't want to say somehow, someone's money somewhere put them into a position where they could, spout off their idiot ideas to a larger audience. But I don't feel like we're having a reasonable conversation, because for me, like, wisdom is not being right. It's understanding you could be wrong. And so when I'm expressing these ideas, I'm like, I don't know if this works. I'm just saying I looked at history and it seems like it worked pretty decently for a really long period of time. And it had its problems, sure, because I think everything will. But it seems like, somebody asked me on Twitter, they're like, well, what's your evidence? What's your proof for the monarchy? And I just responded with this beautiful picture of a cathedral that took 600 years to build. I was like, there it is. There's my evidence, man. There's something like, we don't do that anymore, right? Now, obviously,
everything's just brutalist and gay and like cardboard now.
It's like to quote
don't even get
Cormac
Pizza Huts anymore.
McCarthy.
Yeah, the Pizza Hut from the 90s.
Oh, I love Cormac McCarthy.
Let's say to quote Cormac McCarthy, right? So before man was, fake and gay waited for him, right? That's what it feels like. It feels like we're living in this time now where everything is just so fake and gay. But I mean, again, like not to beat off a dead horse. That's the correct way to say that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the phrase.
It's like nothing's going to work unless we become what we were originally. And that's not just the US, it's Canada, it's both. We were built as a Christian nation on Christian principles. And the idea that we can operate out, I mean, I could tell you quotes from the founding fathers, right? The idea that we can govern outside of morality, it just doesn't work, right? So really, and there's even a Bible verse that talks about this. It said, the people will call unto themselves prophets that say things that tickle their ears, right? One of the translations says, which essentially means you get what you deserve when it comes to governance, right? And in Canada, we used to have tons of these decals, these stickers on the back of pickup trucks that would say F Trudeau, right? It's like what you're really saying is F most of Canada, because if most of Canada had any moral compass and any conviction, that guy would never have been listened to, let alone voted into power. And it's like, so what you're saying is I hate myself when I look at myself in the mirror, because that governance system, that's a reflection of the people, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of places you could go with that, right? I mean, it's just a reflection of where we're at. That's what we hate our leaders. Well, they're a reflection of us, man. That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is. I remember what I was going to say earlier now, which was, your comment earlier on path of least resistance. Like, you're 100% right with this comment too. Like, they are a reflection of us. Like, Trump is a reflection of where people, on the right are in this country, and really where they've been for at least the last 10 years. Yeah. And there's a lot you can pull from that, but like it came from a place of being fed up. However, instead of following kind of what Nathan was talking about earlier with a return to traditional values, instead of like the modern conservative right wing or whatever you want to call them, instead of a return to traditional values, self-governance, taking charge of your situation and changing the world directly around you, the modern man to they kind of sackless. They outsourced that responsibility of building to a strong man. And what did he do for you? He sold you out to a stronger man.
Yeah, what a great point. That's exactly it, man.
It's kind of horrible because we got what we deserved. Canada got what they deserved. Britain got the leadership. I can't even fucking name. I can't even name the prime minister. They've gone through like fucking 7 or 8 since I've been gone.
I can't even pronounce it either, brother.
No, Keir Starmer. It's funny, like Keir Starmer. That's his name. I think that's his name. I was like, I saw his name the other day, and I was like, was that the Indian guy? No, it's a white guy.
Yeah, you can't even. It's painful. You know what, dude? You hit the nail on the head. We really are getting what we deserve, and I think. If God is sovereign, then you have to ask yourself, and why is this happening, right? And I'm the kind of person where my line of thought here is that the extent to which God is in control is like astounding. It's actually like, it blows my mind, right? I've got a t-shirt that I made. It's called the Not a Sparrow Falls t-shirt. It's based off that verse that says, not a sparrow falls from the sky apart from the Father's will, right? It doesn't say the Father's knowledge. It says his will. Right? He's in like the extent to which he's in control should be terrifying, man. I mean, you think of the book of Job when Job had all those horrors befall him, right? At the start of it, Satan comes up to heaven to give account what he's doing on the earth. That's how the conversation between him and God started. He's giving account for what he's doing, not because he wants to, because he has to, right? God could, at the snap of his fingers, make Satan cease to exist. So then the question becomes, why? Why is he allowing him? It's clear that he's in control because he's demanding Satan to give account for what he's doing, and Satan obeys him. I even heard a pastor recently talking about how at the Last Supper, where Judas betraying Christ, right? Judas is essentially possessed by the devil enters into him, and then Christ turns to Judas and says, what you're going to do, go and do it quickly. He's essentially giving him permission, right? Because before he even betrays the Son of Man, he's got to have permission to do that, right? So I'm of the opinion that the extent to which God is in control is astounding, right? So if we look at our nation and we see what's going on, the question then becomes why? Why is this happening? Why is God allowing this to happen? And I think there's a serious precedent to the idea that we are under God's judgment. And maybe perhaps instead of judgment, I should say discipline, right? It's like we've clearly gone astray. I don't want to say we as a nation, man. I want to say we as a church, because there's also scripture that says, if my people who are called by my name turn back to me, I'll heal their land. It doesn't say if all the nation turns back, if the heathens stop doing their pagan stuff, if everybody, no, it says, if my people who are called by my name come back to me, I'll heal their land. So when I say we've gone astray, I mean like the Christians. I mean the church, man. Because, more often than not, it's not the Starbucks I see the pride flag on, it's the church in town. It's these different institutions that are supposed to represent God that have no part in him, right? And so what I'm seeing, if I can use the term discipline more aptly, more correctly, I should say, is that to me seems like what's going on is like, okay, we've kicked God out, we've gone astray, and like any good father, we're now enduring discipline, right? For the Israelites, the ancient Israelites, whatever the hell those guys are, we'll get into that later, I'm sure, right?
Oh, I'm going to get into that following this point, I think.
I love it. Okay. For the ancient Israelites, it was the Babylonian exile, right? It was the Babylonian invasion. We're getting invaded, right? This is a 21st century Babylonian invasion through immigration. That's all it is, man. It's the same Bible story. It just looks a little different for us in the year 2026, right? So I think what's happening is it's a disciplinary action by God, because ultimately what he's trying to do is call us back to him. He's trying to be like, hey, man, you guys can't do this without me. Everything you did in the past, right? I'm advocating for the monarchy, but we weren't great because of the monarchy. We were great because of God. And the monarchy was essentially the political system of the patriarchy, right? And I mean, I could go off all day and there's so many tangents going down that. But ultimately, my point that I'm trying to make here is I think what we're witnessing is just God's discipline and his judgment on this nation because we've gone astray from him. And I mean us as Christians. I don't know what you guys think of that.
I mean, like my first reaction, and we've talked to a number of, hardcore Christian guests on this show about kind of where, Western American, Canadian kind of Christianity has gone. We see like mega churches. We see churches that have, like, for whatever reason, the message has turned to like, you need to be making massive donations of like not just money but blood to Israel and like Israel, the government, the modern nation
state. Blind submission to Israel. Yes.
Yeah. And so like I think punitive action on that kind of misguided version of Christianity is completely fair. I think it is past due. And like we had all these like doomsday cults of the 90s thinking that like this wrath was coming, and I don't know, we've seen like very unhinged times just the last 3 decades or so. It's not to go too deep on this one, but I don't know if you guys saw the plague of bees hitting Israel right now. Did you see that?
I've seen that before.
Yeah, that sounds a bit familiar.
Dogs or the locusts. Yeah, I've seen this. I've read this somewhere before. Yeah.
I don't know because who knows what's real anymore. But like, it was a headline that cropped up that Israeli authorities were telling people to stay indoors because there was like just unexplained like hordes of bees outside, and it's like, you guys might want to think about that. I don't think that's just a migration.
That's incredible. I've never seen one, right? What's funny, man? You said, I don't even know what's real anymore. Here's the truth, brother. We never knew what was real. Before AI, it was something else. Like, we've been in 5th generation warfare. I'll venture to say since the beginning of time. Like, we don't know what's real. We never knew what's real, right? It's all information warfare.
We just have like nice names for it now. We've identified the various ways that war is waged, especially as like people that value martial skills without being like in the military. Like, we have names for all of these kinds of warfare. But 5th gen warfare, like, it has existed for all time. Really, it's had different names, it's had different labels for the various strategies, but this attack on all fronts, like being attacked when you're going through peacetime, like routine at home with your family, you're being attacked.
Yeah, man, it's funny because coming out of 2020, it was such a wild realization that your government just blatantly lied to you. And I mean, it sounds so funny saying that now because we're like, well, yeah, duh, right? But at the time, I remember the slow, gradual realization of being like, I remember they were like, we're going to get a vaccine. We'll figure this out. And then we got a vaccine. You guys should take it. Like
2 weeks to stop the spread.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then we got a vaccine. Take it or we're going to shoot you. And then we were like, whoa, that escalated quickly, right? Like, what's going on? Why are you making me lose my job? Why am I like... So I think when we came to the realization that our government was lying to us, some of the ideas that I'm entertaining, right, man, I'm just like, somebody asked me, a lot of people ask me, this conversation is coming up a lot, is like, is the earth even round? And I'm like, man, I've been lied to so much. I'm willing to like entertain anything at this point, man, because I'm pretty sure we're being lied to about literally everything, right?
Yeah.
You got opinions on that, Bobby, or what? You're like, is it flat, or what do you think?
I've been on enough flights. I think like the one conspiracy theory that is like not not winning right now is flat Earth. Everything else, like full bore. Like I'm game. I think flat Earth is flat Earth. I've climbed enough mountains. I've seen curvature of the Earth. That wasn't. I think flat Earth people need to like go and climb some hills. But aside from that, like I'm game for basically anything. You tell me about like fucking demons and aliens and shit.
Yeah, man, the conspiracy be coming through. You know what? Here's what's interesting to me. As a Christian, I don't believe in evolution. I mean, as a scientist, I don't know how you can. The second law of thermodynamics, entropy, that should just disprove evolution right there, but I digress. The whole purpose behind it, I don't want to get caught up in the semantics. To me, the purpose of evolution was a demoralization campaign because you got two options, right? God made you, you're designed with a purpose, right? Or you just formed out of some silicious primordial soup. There's no real purpose or point to anything. You do whatever the hell you want. All right. Well, it seems like one of those was a demoralization campaign, right? Now, let me put it to you this way, Bobby. Let's say you got two options. Let's say someone in government gets up and goes, yo, man, we've been lying to you. We can't get to space. There's a firmament. God put it there. We're not allowed out. By the way, we're not hurtling through space. We're on a flat Earth, and the Polaris is actually heaven, and it hasn't moved since human history. So we got that option, or the other option is like, we're just kind of flying through space on this rock out in the ether, and who knows where we'll end up or if something crashes into us. And it doesn't matter because the heat death of the universe will get us in the end anyway, right? Just seems like to me that one of those is a demoralization campaign, right? But hey, I don't know the truth. I'm just going to throw that out there and let you chew on it for a little bit, buddy.
I will say one funny thing I've seen with the recent, what was it, Artemis 2? I don't keep up too much with space things, but they're seeing like all these people getting really upset on Reddit, which it's a cesspool. So of course,
Reddit.
That's where you go to be upset.
Dude, I can't do Reddit. I can't do Twitter. But I have both. I just lurk, and they make me angry, so I don't.
I don't like Twitter, which we could get into that, but all these people getting upset on Reddit because apparently a lot of the astronauts and stuff that went with that are just like, quoting stuff from the Bible and giving thanks to God and everything like that. And they're just like, oh, I wish they left this out. Oh, just really, really upset over it. It's
hey, I find it funny to see. They launched Artemis. Do you remember their what day? What was that? April 1st?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was launched on April 1st, yes.
Yeah, it was the April Fools. They launched that. Oh, that's interesting. This is an observation.
As I said, I don't keep up with space.
He's like, hold on, Bobby. Before we get into space, we got to go back to the Jews. And
that's the clip. That's the clip. That's the clip.
And our shared Judeo-Christian values, we got to talk about that, eh? What are your thoughts, buddy? What are your thoughts on? I mean, where do we even start? You know what I mean?
I think honestly, we all want to donate $10 billion to Israel, don't we?
Yes, yes, especially for all of the negativity this show has put against the great state of Israel. $3 trillion more, and I will kiss the wall personally next week.
I feel like every episode in the past, like half a year or a year, we've probably thrown shade at Israel every episode.
It's kind of punching down at this point, which is weird to say.
I'm gonna get noticed in like a week.
I don't know if you guys have been. Sorry to interrupt there. I was gonna say I don't know if you guys have been following on Twitter some of the posts I've been making as it relates to ethnicity. I don't know if you guys have been tracking that. Well, so have you read the book The 13th Tribe by Arthur Kessler?
No.
You guys? Okay. So I don't know if you've even heard of it. So it's basically he's a historian. He's an author, obviously. He is a Jewish man, and he wrote this book called The 13th Tribe, and it basically was a genetic analysis of Jewish people. And basically this book, how would I summarize it? I mean, I'm not going to give the quote verbatim, but he's basically saying, hey, there's Esau is in the tents of Jacob. Like there's some genetic things going on that shouldn't be. And for example, he did this research where it was like, okay, there's more similarities between Jewish people living in New York, more genetic similarities between them and their fellow New York, inhabitants than there are between New York Jews and Ethiopian Jews, for example. And I mean, dude, Lenny Kravitz is Jewish.
There's Ethiopian Jews?
Like, what's that?
I didn't even know that there were Ethiopian Jews.
Yeah, this is the thing, man. Let me get into this. Here, you guys might find this interesting. So not only do I love reading history, I love reading the Bible, because if I call myself a Christian, right, and I believe it, right, then I should read the book, right? And so the idea here is that the Jewish people, that's a biblical people group, okay? Well, how do you determine if you are a Jewish person today, 2026? How do you determine I'm Jewish? Now, you can Google this. This is common knowledge. This is widely accepted. You are Jewish if your mother is Jewish. Now, your father can be Jewish, but it's a maternal thing. And the reason that they say that, this is what they say, is, well, look at Ishmael. Abraham was Ishmael's father, but he's obviously not Jewish. He was the father of the Arab nations, right? So in order to be Jewish, your mother has to be Jewish.
Interesting. Right? Okay, I didn't actually know that.
That's what they say.
Honestly, like, I will just make a footnote of, like, I didn't meet a Jew until I was like fucking 18. I don't understand any of this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
it's important to understand it, because I think, it's the Schofield Bible, I'm sure you guys have heard of, which was basically, I mean, right there is an example of why we should never have a study guide or footnotes included in the Holy Scriptures. You want to have like Matthew Henry's commentary? Perfect. Make it a separate book. Do not put it in the Bible, because it gives credibility to what is someone else's uninspired opinion, right? They might be right on some things, but they're probably wrong on some other things. But I think the reason that we're at where we're at today in society is because we don't actually know the truth, right? So modern day Jews would say that your mother has to be Jewish. All right, well, let's go look at the Bible. What does the Bible say? Well, that's interesting, because you guys probably remember the story of the walls of Jericho, right? So the Israelites, they're walking around Jericho, the walls come down. Before that happened, the Israelites sent 2 spies into Jericho to spy the place out. The authorities got like word of what was happening. They went out looking for these spies to try to kill them before they could report back. The spies were hidden by a woman named Rahab. So she was a prostitute, right? She basically said to these spies, hey, we know who you guys are. And I think, right, they were basically terrified, because she's a prostitute, right? Who's she sleeping with? The soldiers. The soldiers are coming back saying like, yeah, these Israelites, our God is literally decimating everyone, right? So they heard what was going on, and Rahab said, I'm going to hide you guys. I'm going to let you out of the city. I'm going to save your lives. Just spare me. Most people will be familiar with that story. She was a Canaanite prostitute. What most people don't realize is that she is in the line of Christ. She married a man called Salmon from the tribe of Judah. That is within the lineage of Christ. You'll also remember the story of Naomi and Ruth, right? She was a Moabite, and she married Boaz. Boaz is a direct descendant in the line of Christ. And so what modern day Jewish linealogy requirements, their policy is really saying, they're not saying it's a maternal issue because of Ishmael. They're saying it's a maternal issue because they're denying the Jewish nature of Christ. Because if you use their modern day requirements and you say, hey, you're only a Jew if your mom's a Jew. Okay, well, I just named a Moabite, which, yeah, fair enough, they're cousins, but I just named a Canaanite who's in the line of Christ. So they're essentially saying Jesus isn't Jewish. So then I start asking myself, okay, how do you determine who a Jew is? Who is even a Jew in the Bible? Because these requirements aren't working. And I look at the story of the two brothers. There's Abraham, right? And then there's Isaac. And then there's Jacob and Esau, right? So these guys have Rebekah and Isaac as their parents. I mean, you can't get more Jewish. But Esau sells his birthright to his brother, and then he marries foreign women who turn his heart away from God. And then he is known as the father of the Edomites. Wait a minute, wouldn't that guy be Jewish? I mean, his parents are Isaac and Rebekah. Okay, so wait a minute, it's not even like a patriarchal thing. It's not a paternal thing. It's not a maternal thing. What is it then? When he sold his birthright, that was a spiritual thing. And most people also don't know that during the Exodus, a whole bunch of Egyptians fled Egypt and joined Israel on their way out because they were like, whoa, I mean, your guy's God is clearly superior to ours. We're going to join you. And they just went into their nation. And there's actually some talk in Deuteronomy about how you're supposed to treat foreigners who come in and live among you with respect, all this different stuff. So what I've gathered from the Bible, and we need to get this idea out there to like boomer Christians that think we just need to support a nation that didn't even exist prior to 1948, is like, what does it mean to be Jewish? It was never about an ethnicity because that ethnicity never even existed. It is about faith in the promise. That's why Christ said, Abraham saw my day and rejoiced, right? It's a spiritual thing. It's a faith in the promise, man. So when we're talking about Jews, there's no such thing. There's never been an ethnic Jew, man. Now, I'm going to say as a caveat, because I know a lot of people are going to be pissed at me. Hopefully I can get on the top 10 ADL's most hated list. We'll see what happens. But the point I'm trying to make is everyone talks about white supremacy being a bad thing. Everyone talks about having a ethnically homogenous society is a bad thing, except for Israel. Because they're God's chosen people. They can be supremacists, right? Oh, and they can have their own ethnically homogenous nation state too, right? So I think when you get further down the line of like what these policies mean and how destructive they are, we got to go, wait a minute, let's trace it all the way to the back. Let's go all the way back to like the foundation of this and realize that the foundation is rotten. And so when I say that there's no such thing as an ethnic Jew, that's not me saying it. That's Arthur Kessler, who's a Jewish man. And he wrote that in the 13th Tribe, his book. And when I say that it's never been about an ethnicity, it's only ever been about faith in the promise, that's what the Bible says. So you can call me anti-Semitic. I mean, I don't know what that even means because they're not Semites, right? They're neo-Bolsheviks. I mean, Netanyahu's real name is like, what's his real name? It's Russian or something?
I was expecting like Robert.
Like Mikovic or something like that.
Yeah, man, it's not even like, what are we doing here, right? But this is the problem, bro. We've fallen away from God. We don't even read our own Bible. We don't even know what we believe. And so it's kind of like the garden where Satan comes up as the serpent to Eve. Did God really say? And it's like, okay, she didn't hold on to the promise, right? And that was the fall of man, right? And it's the same thing with us as society. Well, these are Jews. We have to support the secular state of Israel. Okay, that's the lie. And we didn't read our Bible enough. We didn't know the scriptures enough to refute it. And so we're reaping what we've sown, man. It's like what Bobby talked about earlier. Like we deserve this punishment because we call ourselves Christian. We don't even know what the book says, right?
I mean, not to like strip away a lot of the like biblical stuff of that, but like it doesn't even need to get to that in my mind for a lot of like common sense shit. Like if we're talking like the whole like Jew racial thing has always been a really confusing thing to me because I'm like, all right, so it's a religion and a race. All right, cool. But like the maternal thing doesn't hold anything to me because I'm like that is complete fucking nonsense. I will absolutely disrespect your religion, your culture, whatever, if you think that is like something that even begins to make sense. Because okay, let's strip it back to Jews are a race. Cool. Okay, so you got a Mexican mother, white father. They have a kid. By the Jew standards, okay, that kid is Mexican because the mother is Mexican. All right, let's flip it. So white mother, Mexican dad. All right, that kid is now white. Like, what the fuck?
What are we doing here, right? And the funny thing too, man, reminds me of 1984. This is new speak. These words don't mean what they're supposed to anymore. And so you've got like, there's Judaism, right? And the funny thing is, man, it's such a dangerous conversation to have because you're not allowed to have it. We're not allowed to, this is sensitive. This is so racist, this is anti-Semitic, you're not even allowed to have the conversation. So they try to scare you away from it because when you start having this conversation, like, what does this even mean? What does it even mean, right? These words don't mean anything because if you practice Judaism, okay, that's your religion.
Yeah.
Does that make you Jewish? Well, okay, hold on. If you start abiding and living by the Jewish cultural norms and you're practicing Judaism, would that then make you Jewish? But that then confuses me because when I read the Bible, it doesn't say they're Jewish festivals. It says they're the Lord's festivals. And the entire Old Testament just is essentially foreshadowing and foretelling of Christ. And all the New Testament is a bunch of Jewish guys, sans Luke, being like, hey, this is exactly what we've been saying for thousands of years. This is the dude, and here's why. So it's like, what are we doing, you guys? But anyone is any Christian within this nation. That's why you make a good point. Using this logically and rationally, you could certainly make great arguments. I come at it from a biblical and a spiritual perspective because that seems to be the zeitgeist. That seems to be the prevailing mood right now of Christians are like, we have to do this because the Bible said. I'm like, no, man, I've read the Bible. I'm not saying I know everything, and I'm not saying my interpretation is everything correct, but try to correct me if I'm wrong because I've read the Bible and this is what it says. And the only verse in Deuteronomy that talks about not marrying foreign women in the same verse says because they'll turn the hearts of the men away from God. It doesn't say don't marry foreign women for ethnic purity. It says don't marry them because they'll turn your hearts away from God. Yeah. And so the idea here, man, it's just this giant psyop, and we deserve it because we haven't picked up our Bibles and we haven't read it. I don't know what the reason for it is. Is that because we're living in affluence and we don't need God? I think that's going to change. I think by the grace of God, we don't end up in a civil war, but certainly we're already in Canada in a massive economic downturn, right?
I genuinely don't know how people are living.
Dude, it's bad, man. I'm like, I should be living well, right? I should be the amount of money I'm making. If you had told me 15 years ago you'd be making this much money, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's middle class, man. I'm doing well. No, man, I'm out here buying diapers, being like, it's tough out there for me as a 35-year-old man who's been running my business for over 11 years now. Like it's always going to be tough when you're in your early 20s and you're coming out, but you start to establish yourself and you try to, at some point you're going to be middle class, living comfortably. You want to send your kids on ski trips. You want to do stuff.
If you're working hard, that was the theory. Yeah. Like I've been pulling.
Yeah, man, I've been pulling exactly right. I'm living my life, and I'm going like, I'm making ends meet, and I don't know how people starting out are doing it.
Dude, I genuinely don't know. Like if I was like the people I know in Canada with how much they're making, how much they're paying in tax, and how much it costs to live.
It's insane.
I don't know how they're doing it. Like they must not. Like I have so many friends. They don't drink. They don't go out. They don't smoke. They don't do all those like young people vices. And
are those young people vices? I just went to the doctor. I hit 35 and I should probably go to the doctor, and she's like, do you drink? I said, only when I'm smoking. She goes, you smoke? I said, only when I'm drinking. Everyone's got their thing, eh? But sorry, carry on.
But yeah, they're piled like 3 or 4 into like small apartments. Like Halifax isn't like Toronto. And none of them can afford to do anything. Like there's no money left over from even like decent jobs. How the fuck do people who work at like Tim Hortons live?
I don't know, man. Like,
do they live in a closet, a tent?
Well, the average Tim Hortons employee is probably an Indian. So
fair point. They live like
one room.
20 people in one. Yeah, I remember my friend Hillary was moving back from from Japan, and she couldn't actually check out apartments herself. So she asked, like, "Hey,
Oh,
Nathan, can you go do a walkthrough?" And I went to a building, like a large building, that was 100% Indian people. And I did the walkthrough, and I think there were like, she was just trying to rent a 2-bedroom for her and her husband to stay in themselves. And there were 8 Indian people living in that little 2-bedroom.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, that's normal for them. Their population is so dense over there.
Yeah.
It's just a cultural difference that they're like, of course, this is how we do it, man. It's like if we went over there and we're like, I need 1,500 square foot for me. For me.
Like, you selfish bastard.
Are you royalty? I mean,
exactly. The cultural differences is such a vast divide. But sorry, going back, I wanted to say Uncle Ted had something right, because getting to the foundational root of the problem, it's just the Industrial Revolution, man. Like, it used to be back in the day, you were a blacksmith, or you were some trade. You were a carpenter, you were a stonemason, you were something, and your dad was that before him, and your dad's dad, and his dad's dad. And you just were working with your dad by the time you were like 9 or 10. And then that was your life, and you had what you needed, and that was it. And now it's like we have microwaves, and we have like natural gas piped right into our house, and clean water, and we've got YouTube, and we've got Pornhub, and all this stuff that just creates this just apathy, man. Yeah. It's so, and it's all like the Industrial Revolution. It's like we used to work with our hands. We used to do things, and it used to be hard to see titties. I'll say we used to.
You'd have to work many days in a field to impress someone to show you them.
Well, you got more at your fingertips than King Solomon had concubines, man. It's like people talk about nuclear war and like how the power would go out, and I was like, that actually kind of sounds nice. I'd never go on the internet again, right? I mean, I'd like to literally just like, I guess I'll have to go farm and like grow my own food. Boy, that sounds real awful, doesn't it? Not really perfect, right?
Well, what's that famous phrase? The Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been disastrous for the human race.
Yeah,
that famous phrase, that old saying,
that old thing. Yeah,
my old Uncle Ted used to say that.
I don't know if this is true. Someone's going to cite me for misinformation, but the letter that the bomb, I should say, the bomb he mailed to that guy, that university professor, was that guy actually listed in the Epstein files?
Yep.
Yes, he was.
Yes, he was.
Oh, another onto something, eh?
Another fucking win. Now, the timeline of that is what's interesting to me, because I'm like, well, did he bomb him and then, or like, I've forgotten the actual incident itself. Like, did he receive a package and it didn't go off? Did his secretary get it? Like, because he survived.
Injured, but I might be wrong.
I thought he lost some fingers or something. I can't quite remember.
Because like, was this before the island or after? Because like, I don't give it. Like, if he caused some fucking frag and then he went and hung out on the island, like, you know, Ted K was still right. But like, what's the time?
I think it's important to note that by the time you get to the island, that's not your first rodeo. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That is fair.
And you want to have sex with like children? That's not something you say to someone unless you've like they've been on a long journey of moral depravity, right?
That you are 100% right.
Now, if he hadn't been part of the MK Ultra program, then maybe he wouldn't have done something as so hasty as, you know, bombing places that really had no lasting positive effect. And yeah, that was kind of insane. But apart from the MK Ultra program, maybe Uncle Ted might have been a little more reasonable and on to something, but we're just talking about all sorts of forbidden topics, eh?
I mean, dude, if it wasn't for MK Ultra, like, Ted Kaczynski would have had a couple of books and then a failing Substack. And
I find it really funny to see him still being quoted because of his mathematical works. Like, I saw this thing the other day where they quoted him in someone's thesis, and in the subtext it was like Theodore Kaczynski, like in parentheses. Yeah. Known for other works.
Oh man, that's so outrageous, dude. Yeah, he was on something.
He was explosive in the mathematics scene, you know.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? He must have been on to something why they had to MK Ultra him and make him into some psychopathic, violent freak. I think he was on to something there. He just went a little haywire. But now, hold on. I heard someone say something about Japan. I was told we were going to talk about the whole.
Oh yeah, the
America,
Japan
Western,
and America exchange on Twitter,
which I love, dude. I have been a you're gonna get me hyped up, dude. I've been a fan of Japan since my grandfather came back with it was a some kind of like family samurai flag he brought back for me when I was like 9 or 10 or something. And, obviously the idea of a samurai fascinated me. It's kind of like the idea of our ancient knights and, kind of with a more foreign appeal to it, right? And then if you just Google Japan, you're like, oh, a hyper respectful, ethnically homogenous society. Yeah, man. I mean, where's the bad? Where's the bad in that? Do they have any somebody trying to talk me out of moving there? I'm like, what's wrong with it? You won't like it. They're really polite. Oh, okay. Yeah, they don't even like foreigners. They're very ethnically homogenous and they're very protective about their traditions. Yeah, right. I already said I wanted to visit. You don't have to convince me, right? So the whole modern, because I think Elon made auto translate a thing.
Yeah,
so it's
I think that's how it's working.
Yeah, you read a Japanese post in English, and then when you respond to it, it shows up in Japanese for them. I love it, man. I got me a couple Japanese pen pals right now. I'm just chatting with because I want to go there. I may not come back. So I don't know. Who's your friend that moved there? What's her experience? Does she
Well, she stayed there. So yeah, I think she lives in Shibuya now. And she's white and blonde, and really tall. She's I want to say 5'11".
Dude, that's right. So I'm 6'5", man. So I'm a little bit worried if I go over there that I'm not gonna fit in anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, she towers over everyone, but she has jobs in that industry. She became an idol for a little while, singing and dancing, whatever it's called. It's like pop star, but kind of. The word for it is idol there, but that word feels kind of dirty somehow.
Yeah.
But no, she really likes it. I think she's still making music and works at like a maid cafe or something really weird.
Man, they have such good skiing there, and so I just recently this year took up skiing. I grew up poor. We grew up on the food bank. I am now doing things in my adult life that I should have done as a kid, but I never did. Yeah. And so now when I'm doing them, I'm all giddy. I'm on a chairlift for the first time. I'm 10 years old. I'm all giddy and excited about it. And as soon as I see the Japanese powder, world renowned, man. I'm telling you, bro, I'm moving there and I'm not coming back. I'm not, dude.
You know what? If you could, apparently there's a job you can just do in Japan, and it's in a lot of Asian countries, but it's just a white person that works at a corporation just to be a white person that works at a corporation, because it makes
hire for them, or maybe a liaison between Western companies or something. Yeah,
straight up, your whole job is okay, cool. They have a business meeting with foreign dignitaries, and you as the white guy just walk by them in a suit. That's the whole thing.
That's fantastic.
I can do it.
They literally just pay you to be a white guy at a corpo that shows up to make the company look like they hire white people, which means they're successful.
Man, you have no idea how stoked I am. I think here's why I'm so stoked. And you'll understand this, Nathan, as having lived in Canada. Everything that they're chipping away at in our society in Canada, our heritage, our lineage, our history, our ethnic, everything, literally everything that I love about this nation, aside from the geography, which I'm sure if they could blow our mountains up, they would. And maybe they will. I don't know. I don't want to jinx it. But everything that they're trying to destroy in our nation, they're not as successful in Japan. And there's an image I'm thinking of, a black and white image of a young Japanese man with a katana thrusting it into a communist guy on stage.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah, the assassination.
Yeah, there's reasons why the global homo agenda hasn't taken hold in Japan, and now I'm not saying that there's any type of precedent to be set there. But anyway,
just saying they're good at assassinations, and
just saying. But everything that they're destroying in my culture and my homeland, they're holding on to it in Japan, right? Japan's a 2,600-year-old nation. I mean, it's a place they're set in their ways. They've got cultural.
I think it started getting a little weird after 1946.
Yeah, well, dude, here's the interesting thing. So I just finished reading Bushido,
Yeah.
by I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, so hold on. Bushido. What's the book? I'm gonna Google it. I just finished reading it. It's The Soul of Japan, but now they call it The Way of the Samurai,
Yeah.
and it is by Inazo Notobe. And I
by Tulam.
Oh,
my true lamb, yes.
oh, the famous Japanese man, Tulam.
I feel like when you speak Japanese, you have to say it in like a deeper, more aggressive voice. Like you can't just say Inazo Notobe. You have to say Inazo Notobe.
I think
that's the right. I like the frown as well.
Put on
I'm like one peer pressure encouragement away from like taking Japanese lessons. But anyway, so
Dude,
I read this book.
I'm not paid
He's
by
the
this
pressure.
company. They don't know that I exist. I found them through Instagram ads. They don't know that I exist. Again, this is not an ad. I've been using AirLearn lately, and just because like they made some really funny ads of like photoshopping random followers of theirs Chinese and stuff. And I hate to say that got me. I thought it was fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
but
it's like
it
a
is
mascot
actually
or something.
yeah, they have a little like blue cat as a mascot.
Nice.
And the voice acting is really good, but it's actually pretty good. I've been learning French, which is kind of gay, so maybe I shouldn't learn.
Why would you?
What a useless fucking language.
Did they put a chip in your brain before you left Canada? Like,
Okay. I took like 12 years of it. I wanted to keep like some semblance of fluency because all I know right now is like "Je suis le fromage," like "Où est la bibliothèque?" Like, yeah, just like gay shit. So I want to have marketable like that's the one that is closest to me being able to be like, okay, I can speak this.
Okay,
but then after that, I was thinking Japanese because I'm a faggot weeb. So
let's get together, dude. So anyway, I love Japan. I'm gonna do these lessons. I'm gonna check out there. What was it called again?
AirLearn.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, it's like Duolingo but less gay.
Yeah, fair enough. So I just finished reading Bushido, The Way of the Samurai, and it's so funny because I read this book, and then I read the modern criticisms of the book. So I don't know if you guys read the book before, but basically the book was written by this gentleman who became a Christian, moved to the West, and he was kind of like this cultural liaison between the West and Japan, right? This was at the time when Japan was opening up its borders. They wanted to industrialize. They wanted to keep up with the modern world, probably because they didn't want to get invaded and become subservient to the stronger man, right? So he basically wrote this book, and people will say one of the criticisms, it was basically propaganda, right? Yeah. But this book was basically saying that there's obviously some major differences, but the chivalry of our ancient European knights was very parallel to the Bushido, the warrior code of the ancient samurai. Yeah. And it kind of, I think there's a serious credibility to that, despite the modern criticism of it. Because, you look at the Roman Empire, for example, who was the first secular pagan to declare Christ as Lord? Well, all the centurions in the Bible were always portrayed as these good dudes who understood it, right? And one of the centurions was like, "Hey, my servant is sick. One of the Gospels says that he wouldn't even go to see Jesus. He sent some Jewish elders to see him because he didn't want to come across as culturally rude or intrusive or anything. So he basically says, "Hey, my person's sick. Don't even come to my house. Just say the word, because I'm a man under authority, and I know I say to a soldier, do this, and he does that. Come," and the guy comes, right? So Jesus says, "I haven't seen faith like this in all of Israel," right? And at that exact moment, the guy had his request granted. It was a miraculous healing for his servant, right? Yeah. There were character traits that were native, we'll say, to Roman soldiers. Like they had courage, they had honor. Not all of them, don't get me wrong, right? They gambled over his clothes, they put a crown on, thorns on his head, they did some horrible things. But the NCOs, the officers, even like these guys, they understood it. All the centurions in the Bible are always these good guys that understood it. Probably now that I'm thinking about it, makes sense as to why the vineyard was taken away from a certain ethnic group and given to the European man, right? They're probably still pissed and they want their vineyard back. Is probably why they're hating the white man so much, maybe because it's less about being ethnically white, more about the fact that we're synonymous with Christendom. Anyway, the criticisms of Bushido, man, before I go too deep on this tangent, are the same criticisms of our history. It's like, well, feudalism's bad, just like the monarchy's bad, and you guys weren't actually noble, chivalric warriors with warrior codes. You guys were just kind of savages working for the dictator and the peasant and the common man. I mean, the working man, or however you want to say it, was they were really under the foot of the rulers. And I'm like reading this going, it sounds like all the modern day criticisms of Bushido are the exact same criticisms of like our history and our lineage. Like, all these things are bad. You come from bad things, white man bad. And I'm like, I wonder if it's the usual suspects behind this degradation of society. I don't know, just a thought. But all that being said, dude, everything that is being destroyed about my home country, they're holding fast to in Japan. And I think it would just be a real treat. Maybe I'll just go there. Maybe I won't come back. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
I should probably
I
learn the
think
language first.
that would be very cool. I know that they really, a pretty easy way as a Canadian or American to get into Japan is to get a work visa to teach English, but you can apparently get taken advantage of very easily doing that. I don't really know anything else. I can probably put you in touch with my friend if you wanted to pick her brain.
Well, listen, I already mentioned I'm 6'5" and I'm 230 pounds and a heavy season, right? So maybe I'll just join the Yakuza and be like, you guys looking for a bouncer? I'll do some sketchy things because, like, hey, my government requires me to suppress my morality and fight in a never-ending Middle Eastern war, World War III. It's going to come up. So maybe I'll just ditch that and go fight for the Yakuza, because if I'm going to be doing sketchy shit against my morality, I might as well do it in Japan, where it's a nice place, right? But
yeah, in that case, you might be able to get your hands on a Tokarev through them. Who knows?
Yeah. No doubt, dude. No doubt.
Yeah. Like, that's the one I always see in like old Yakuza dramas, even new ones. Like, it's always like weird smuggled out Soviet guns.
I'm trying to figure out how to smuggle out a samurai sword, dude. Apparently
they're on a registry.
Yeah, well, apparently
like if you have a sword, it has to be registered with the fucking government.
Yeah, I totally forgot until right now that they don't have any weapons. They're airsoft.
You can have guns. I saw, like, weirdly, a Japanese Twitter kind of spilled over the other day. With a hunting license, you could get like Browning Auto 5s, which I thought was kind of neat.
Nice.
They
it's
weren't
a
even
very
super
long
expensive.
process from what I've seen, though.
Yeah, it is a long and arduous process, but you can have certain manual action guns.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like it's such a shame because they used to be such a warrior culture in the sense that like their weapons were literally their religion. Even now, like a swordsmith. So this is what I've kind of learned so far, is that in order to be a swordsmith, I guess for a lack of a better term, I'm not sure what they call it, but in order to be a swordsmith, it's like this grueling apprenticeship. Yeah. And then if you do all this like absolutely wild, you jump through these hoops, you put all the time in, you can become one of these guys, but then the government determines how many swords a year you can make. And it's like
that's wild.
And essentially, I think why they're doing that is to protect that industry, because right now, for every inch of steel, it was like, I think it was $1,000 to $2,000 per inch of steel. And
that's what, that is entirely just I hate planned economies. Yeah.
What's that?
I hate planned economies.
It's interesting, man. There's definitely, I don't know what I think of that yet. Cause on one hand, I understand they're trying to protect their national interests because they don't want just Japanese steel running rampant. Cause if it's overproduced, the quality's less. Right now, there's kind of this what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's almost magical, man. It's hard to get. And the steel is like perfect because it's really hard to even become an apprentice, let alone like a master at this craft. And then there's not a lot of the steel. So if you're going to buy it, well, you're going to pay for it. And then good luck trying to get it out of the country. So it creates this kind of like mystical.
Yeah.
I
think I know the word of the steel you're talking about. It's mithril, isn't it?
Yeah. It's kind of like, it's just cool, man. They've done a good job of keeping it, Now, if they were doing that to milk or like lumber or something else, in a planned economy, that would be a little more. But
that'd be a lot gayer, yeah.
Yeah, we'll give them a free pass because it's a samurai sword.
I got to complain about it. I also hate Japanese car laws.
Okay, I'm not familiar, man. Don't
Okay,
ruin it
so
for me. Let me get there first, right? Let me go on my first trip, but let's hear
I
it.
mean,
What are
like
they doing?
obviously everywhere is going to have laws you don't like, but basically in Japan, your car will it is more expensive to keep your existing car than just to buy a new one because of the laws they have around 50,000 miles. That's why there's so many cheap Japanese import engines on the market here. Like I got my engine for $1,200 with 50,000 miles on it in perfect condition with all the shit attached to it, because at 50,000 miles your car has to like go through an entire new standard, and it is literally just cheaper to scrap them and send them to America.
Man, you're saying that like it's a bad idea, but I mean, driving around, we'll say seeing some fellow Canadians on the roadway that are relatively new to driving vehicles that like, how is that thing even maintaining highway speed?
Which
right?
is weird because like Canada, at least on the East Coast, they have all those laws about like every 2 years, ridiculous safety inspection. If you don't pass it, you don't
so
drive.
like,
Yeah, in
okay,
Nova Scotia they have that whole thing, but like your car can be at 300,000 miles, but if it passes all the inspection, like the frame is good, the suspension's good, like it's pretty comprehensive. If it's safe to drive, then you can drive it. But like Japan, no, it's like your car's scrapped at a quarter of its lifespan.
Yeah. They got an interesting culture, man, because on one hand I really appreciate like the honor system. Like how do I just the implications of that on a society level? Like people, they are acting honorably. It's a high trust society.
Yeah.
Like I understand that there's obviously negative sides to that. Like the shame that comes with the honor culture is very immense. I mean, there's seppuku, there's different like, there's
suicide forest and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not even necessarily saying that especially how do I verbalize this, because having just read Bushido and understanding actually the precedent of that's set when there's seppuku as an option for you, so don't dishonor your family or you might have to debowel yourself essentially.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
I think there's some I don't know, man, maybe there's some credibility to that, maybe there's some value to that, but their cultures. Well, and the reason I say that is like, man, sometimes in public, the way people treat me is like, you've never been punched in the face before. And I think if there was a threat of violence, not just like the nanny state violence, like the cops are going to come and everything, we're going to deal with it in the courts and all that stuff. I'm talking like if there was more of a threat of violence, people would act differently. And I think when you apply that to like a warrior code, it's like, don't dishonor your family or you're going to have to cut yourself open. It's like, okay. And from what I understand of Bushido, from reading that book, is it was actually quite rare that would take place. And if it was taking place, it was a pretty egregious violation of honor. So I'm just saying maybe there's a precedent there. Maybe there's some value in it. But I appreciate that about their culture. But their culture as well, I mean, they got some funny things. Like anime is huge there.
Yeah.
It's just, and I don't know. I don't understand the, I don't know. Maybe I haven't got into it yet. I don't know. We got some anime fans here or what?
Oh God! Don't get the weep started. Oh,
I think like anime is just like at its core, it's just a form of media. So you can have like, I don't know. Like I think everyone thinks of like, oh, like dancing girls in schoolgirl outfits and like gay shit, but it's just an entire genre. So like there's stuff made for adults, stuff made for kids, stuff made for weird teenagers. Like,
oh, so that's just what makes it
it's a catch-all word that applies to a lot of stuff. Like the Miyazaki movies and whatnot, like really famous stuff are anime, but so is a lot of trash. Like,
so you're into it then, because you just said a bunch of words that I don't recognize. So that must mean
like
do you see Nathan squinting at you? Of course he's into it.
He's learning French and he's into anime, and I'm just wondering. You said, did you mean husband? I'm not sure what's going on. I'm sorry, I had to razz you. I had to come.
No, you're okay. You're okay.
As you like clean your gun in front of the camera.
No. Keep on talking, motherfucker. Keep on talking.
I don't know, man. Cyberpunk Edge Runners was pretty good. That's all I'll say.
Fair enough.
That might
recommendations. What's because every now and then I'll see some anime short clip on social media where they're wearing like, they got red eyes and they're wearing like German war helmets and they're like futuristic though. What is that?
I actually don't know. I don't watch anime.
I've seen the same one. I don't know what it's from. I'm not really.
I think Ethan watches it. Jormungand?
It's something. I'll have to. I don't know.
Someone is screaming at their whatever they're listening to right now. They're like, that's such and such.
I'm hoping my Japanese homies help me out. Somebody get on my Twitter. So why are you guys not on Twitter? Nathan, you hate Twitter? What's
we are?
I hate Twitter. I can't stand it. Like,
why?
Because like it's kind of like Reddit. It's kind of like any other social media where like I understand, and BR's told me this before, like you can kind of tune your news feed to kind of whatever you want, but it's just stuff that makes me angry. It's always stuff that makes me angry, and that gets my attention, so I look, and then more stuff like that. It's like, okay, like it's all just rage bait takes. And it's like such a microcosm of culture that I don't actually think really exists that much in real life. Like I'm sure it does, but like
the dead internet theory, man. I'm not sure that 99% of people on the internet are real.
Yeah,
maybe 99% of people that we encounter in real life are just large language models, and they don't have a soul. I don't know, man. I start to ask these questions, but yeah, Twitter's definitely more of like it's more for like conversation based stuff.
Yeah,
it's like longer format stuff, right? Whereas Instagram, for example, is more like a visual based medium.
Yeah, well, that's where we excel, right? Like, you know, on wall, like Siba and Art. Like when we can do visuals, we're great.
Yeah, and like and it's like less into that. I think like I go on Instagram and my feed, like curated to me. Like I don't exactly put a lot of effort into it. It used to be just like, okay, it knows you're a male in your mid-20s, so it's going to give you just like e-girls and bouncing tits and so. But now my feed, they've changed the algorithm a bunch of times, and now it's like educational content. It's like, okay, like cool, this is how I work in my car. This is how I build this thing. This is how I do art. This is, you know, this is how you composite a photo.
Like, really, hey?
Yeah, like it has gone from just like shit to something where I actually feel like if I scroll my reels for a little bit, I will learn something. And like that's kind of a cope. I think scrolling reels fucking sucks, and I don't want to do it. But if I go on Instagram, Twitter, I get nothing. I just get angry. It's like, cool, all right, the government's doing this other gay thing, and everyone's yelling at them, and that will accomplish nothing. It's just like retards fighting.
It is funny because on Instagram, I'll see these screenshots that people will share on Twitter where it's like some e-girl, but the comments are like, why is there like thoughts on my racism app? Like, why are there thoughts on my racism app, right? It's funny, man. I used to be, so I'm on Twitter. I'm primarily on Twitter. I'm on Instagram just because I wanted to have an Instagram. I was on there years ago, but this was at the height of like meta authoritarianism where I was getting shadow banned. Like, man, at one point, so I had 20,000 followers, subscribers on Instagram, and I was making posts that got like 5 likes. I was like, okay, well, nobody's seeing my stuff. And every now and then I make a post and it'd be like, someone's reported you for self-harm. Here's a suicide hotline. Like, I was just like, what is going on? It was just like weaponized against anyone that was pro-2A, I mean, pro-Christian, anti-COVID, anything, right?
Oh, yeah, I lost like 8 accounts during all of that shit.
Yeah, you restarted BR that
a lot.
It was brutal. So I ended up deleting it, went over to Twitter. I've had much more success on there because I've already been banned on there once. Like I got a little spank on the wrist, whatever. And so it's, you know, they call it the free speech area. It is what it is. There's no such thing as free speech. I don't think it exists, but it's better, right? So I just got back on Instagram recently. The problem with Instagram, though, man, is like Nathan said, Google's got a profile on you. You can actually, there's a way you can look up. They know you're a male. They know males are visually oriented. And the reason I don't have the Instagram app on my phone, like I actually have to go on the internet to like log into it. It prevents me from doom scrolling, is I find that it is basically one giant lust demon pit. Like, so even if your algorithm's tailored and it's like, here's how to fix car, here's how to think, you'll still get a random e-girl in there.
You're 100% right.
Oh, it's constantly trying you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I'm like, I don't want that because I got 3 kids. I got a wife. I got a marriage I'm trying to invest in, trying to keep strong. And I mean, these certain things, these temptations that are geared towards you specifically. I'm like, I don't want that in my life.
Yes.
I don't want to be presented with some 20-year-old girl that spends all her time in the gym and looks this way, because you know what? That's not real life. And what's more important to me is to have 3 kids, build a dynasty. And you know what? Your wife's not going to look like that if you expect her to have 3 kids. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you can go to the gym and be healthy, but there's a certain cosmetic, pharmaceutical, surgical image that's presented. And it's just, not only is it detrimental to females, right? It's just an attack on men, man. So I don't have it, dude. I mean, we could talk about how
I don't know. I'm surprised you don't get e-girls on your Twitter, because I do. I don't interact with that shit.
Twitter for me is just a bunch of racist stuff and anti-government. And it's different. Now, here's the thing. Like, you can actually look up pornography on Twitter. They don't ban, so on Instagram, that's not actually allowed. But on Twitter, you can actually search that out. But the thing with Twitter is you have to search it out.
It's not like for porn on Twitter. Like,
it's not, hey man, you're not good for you. You're not missing out on much, right? Yeah. It's nice though, because it's not presented to you in a subtle manner. Like I said, the algorithm, it knows you're a male. It knows what's going on. It's not presented to you in that way. So, I mean, I got an Instagram because it's, I need to have that for the business, but I don't have the app. I don't scroll. I try not to spend my time on there. And I think, I don't know, man, we already live in a hyper-sexualized culture. And I mean, you want to talk about our societal problems. Our society is collapsing because the family's collapsing. And what is primary target number one in the family? It's the father. Well, what's the number one weapon that's used against the father? It's the lust, man. It's hypersexuality of everything. I mean, marriages are falling apart, adultery, people cheat, like all these different things. That all starts with a little look of some e-girl on the internet. It starts with, after that, it's a little conversation. It's a little too long with the barista at the local cafe. Like, if we're getting back to the foundational root, the problem here is it's the hypersexualization of our culture. It's the synthetic digital, everything you're looking at, the billboards is just trash, man.
It's like you brought up even way early with King David. Perfect example. But,
man, what's been the downfall of every man in the Bible has been lust, right? That's literally everybody. It got everybody, right?
So with the algorithms of Instagram and Twitter, because I kind of bounce back between both. I agree. It's it was much harder to cater the Instagram one to kind of get all that stuff out of your feed. Now mine is actually pretty good, and surprisingly, they're even pushing if I go into the explore page, or I think that's what's called. Yep. If I go into that part, I will get guns and tactical gear, and then
me too.
Stuff. And which is weird because I didn't used to do that before. But it takes
it's kind of back.
Yeah, but it takes a dedicated effort to do that. Where with Twitter, I noticed it was much easier to kind of cater your feed to be more about what your interests are, what you're kind of on there for, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I guess so. I think, and I will absolutely admit on Twitter, I see something that pisses me off and I look because I want to see what the comments are. And 100% think that's a weapon. And now I'm getting a bunch of liberal bullshit. Now I'm getting a bunch of here's something really shitty about the Canadian gun buyback or stuff like that. It's all right, I was angry at all of this stuff, but now it's
yeah, man,
it's doing nothing for me.
It's shameful to be a Canadian because we're talking about Instagram and the general lust problem in society. Not only are we doing gay gun buyback, gun ban problems, Pornhub's headquarters are here in Canada.
Really, I didn't know that.
I hate that so much.
I thought they'd be in Israel.
No, you think so? I'm sure that's where the funding comes from, but no, Mind Geek. I'm sure they changed the name when this.
Oh yeah. They're out of Montreal, aren't they?
Yeah. They're based in Canada, and it's man, what a shameful. I don't know if you guys have been following me on Twitter. As I look into the problems of society and I look at historical precedents, trying to find solutions, and then I really just find out it's the destruction of the family. And then I'm trying to find solutions to that. And I really just find out it's the destruction of the father, because if you can take out the father, you can take out the kids, the everything. The whole system collapses. What is a nation? It's just a collection of families ultimately. So when I'm looking at all these problems, man, I've been writing a few articles recently about the problem of pornography, because it is, to me, the biggest problem in our society. I mean, I don't know what the stats are, but it's like bigger than NFL football. I don't know. What's the sports ball cup that they play? I don't know. I haven't watched TV in years, right? I'm so so unplugged from the culture, but it's such a problem, man, and nobody's talking about it. And the destructive force it has on young men is so catastrophic. And what's worse is nobody's got a solution, right?
Yeah.
So you go.
It's banned in my state, funny enough, which obviously we know bans do nothing. But if you try and log in from Idaho, it's like, oh, well, write to your legislators to unban it.
Oh, really? It's banned? It's so interesting.
It is, but kind of in a gay way where it's like, oh, you have to
use your government ID to get access to it.
Yeah, or something like that, or use like facial verification, and Pornhub just said fuck it and they pulled out of Idaho entirely. So it's banned in a gay way, but it's banned. So,
they do that in Australia now just for general stuff, like
adult stuff, right? Because they did the same thing in the UK where
I'm saying just like general, a lot of general stuff. They're just trying to get like use your government ID, blah blah blah. But even the example of Twitter, you know how Twitter will sometimes kind of like give a bit of a false flag in terms of like, you know, it'll say like, oh, show something that's, you know, considered offensive or blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And it's literally nothing. It will be like a GIF. I've even seen that on some of your posts where it will be like just an image and it will be like an old Renaissance painting, but it will say like show. Yeah. If I am, which I've gotten around this, but if I am not using like a VPN and my IP address is as Australia, then it asks me to verify age with like a government ID just to even have a look at that kind of stuff. I'm like, I ain't linking any government IDs to any of my accounts. Get out of here.
No, fuck no.
I'm not monetized on Twitter because I refuse to provide my banking information and ID, which means my home address, to a verification company that's tied to some Israeli investment from, I don't know what I'm just not, no thanks. Right. I get the idea what they're trying to do there. I think they're trying to protect children, being like, you know, are you 18? But I think ultimately, man, even, you know, it would be even better than having verification and having that route. Yeah. Banning pornography that way. It would be so great if we had a revival in this nation where people were so disgusted at that depravity and they were so freed from not just the shame, but like the bondage of that they went bankrupt. And that's how we got rid of them. That would be nice, because it's like a parasitical relationship where it's like, well, the host is unhealthy. That's why the parasite is thriving. And so I look at it at a obviously, I mean, gosh, I feel like a pastor at this point. I'm looking at it type of spiritual lens, because I think a lot of things, it's hard to hyper spiritualize stuff, even though our entire nation is doing it. Like, oh, don't pick up a sword. Jesus, when he said, sell your cloak and buy a sword, he was talking spiritually. Like, we have somehow hyper spiritualized everything. And I'm saying that as a person who recognizes that most things, I think, start in the spiritual realm and they're manifest physically. So it's really actually impressive how our entire Western Christendom has hyper spiritualized everything. But anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. Where I was going with this is, I think it's a serious problem, and I'm trying to look at it through a spiritual lens. And the funny thing is, like, you talk to pastors about this, man. Like, you're like, hey, dude, like, so I shared a bit of my personal testimony on my Twitter. I was exposed to pornography when I was 11. And the scary thing about that, well, dude, the scary thing about that is a lot of people on Twitter were like, yo, man, for me, it was like 6. I was 9. Yeah. I was like, and it's like, it's horrifying, dude. Because for me, being exposed at that young age, I mean, you lose your innocence. You're exposed to something you don't even fully understand. Then it just creates, you know, I talked about this again. I wrote a bit of an article on my Twitter here where it was like, you're conditioned to look at women as like physical, as sexual beings, not as like actual human beings. Pornography conditions you to, exploit them for your own selfish, sensual gratification instead of looking at them as an actual human being with like worth and value and someone to do life with instead of
someone that could be a partner.
Dude, it's such a problem. And this is what's happening to the young generation, is that they're being exposed to this to the point where it's culturally acceptable. So how many different companies that have nothing to do with pornography have their logo with that iconic black and orange thing? It's so culturally prevalent that it's actually being culturally acceptable.
Oh, even within the gun space.
Absolutely.
Have, that's kind of like a big marketing thing. You even have very cringy brand, but like Black Rifle Coffee will have like those kind of things. A lot of gun companies decide to rip it off, and then they'll turn around and do Christian grifting within the community.
They'll do a porno variant of the logo, and then a Christ is King show the logo, and it's like
You're like, ew, brother, ew. It's bad, man. But I think the funny thing is, so I talked about how big of a problem it is. It's even worse that no one knows how to address it, right? Because what do they say? Oh, you need to get computer software program. All right, you'll find your way around that. Oh, you need an accountability partner. Okay, you'll just lie to them. Okay, well, you need to just do this and you need to do that. It's like, how about we address the actual problem, the root cause?
Well, as Nathan said earlier, like bans aren't going to work. I mean, we can point that to pretty much anything.
Yeah, like the root is cultural, I think. I do think
it's what I wanted to get at with kind of like even down to the voting problem. It's so pervasive. It's everything, even down to like when you have an addict of any description, like people have to want it. And the sad thing is like whether it's even like, religious or whatever, like people en masse, they take the path of least resistance, like you said earlier, and like to lift yourself up and be what I think we would all agree is a better, healthier human being. It's so much more comfortable to just like sit in that disgusting depravity like that. What we kind of talk about on here is that like Netflix, Disney Plus slop fiend who's just like even they
slop,
and there's even like the worst thing is now that we have evolved a comfortable like right-wing version of that. Like there you can be a consumer, like just slop riddled like loser, but you could be like purely a consumerist dude, but have convinced yourself that because you hold the right views that you are like on the path of the righteous, that you're doing the right thing. It's like the way a lot of our churches are over here, where they're like a mega church or whatever, and like say you're the average gun owner that I got 3 ARs in the safe, like I believe in the Second Amendment, I believe in fighting tyranny. It's like there's not a single sling on any of those rifles, not a light, not an optic,
like a sight mark.
And like ultimately, like you're still logging into Pornhub on the weekends and looking at girls that are the same age as your eldest daughter. Like there's sickness out there, and people.
Sorry.
Oh no,
you made such a good point, man. You got to want it, and I think it's important within our culture right now. People are realizing scientifically this is destructive to the brain. I mean, there's evidence and statistics that show it's destructive to relationships. This is quantifiable, mathematical evidence. So I think when people realize, when the mask starts to come off of how destructive this is, people realize it and then they want it, right? Because you hit the nail on the head, man. You got to want it.
Yeah.
But then even in my own like personal journey, and then, just to be vulnerable and share this with people, that so hopefully people can have encouragement from this and find a way out of it. I've actually in the last few weeks been called to like an extra level of purity, we'll call it. Like I really felt an impression on my soul to be like, hey man, you need to be careful of what music you're listening to. You need to be careful of like your thought life. Like what thoughts are you entertaining, right? Because Christ talks about that when he says, it's not enough that you murder someone. Like if you have hatred in your heart, you've committed murder against your brother.
Yeah.
It's like that, right? It's kind of like you need to have this next level of security in place so that you don't, man, that's like why I don't have Instagram. I don't want to be scrolling, right? It's like when I go to the gym, dude, I go to the gym at weird off hours and I keep my head down. It's like, I don't, because until the cultures change and how certain people dress becomes culturally unacceptable, I need to put parameters and safety checks in place for me. But all that being said, man, just part of my own personal journey, what I'm realizing is two things. One, despair. A lot of people fall into despair with this because they've just been dropped into the most violent battle supernaturally and physically that you will experience as a man with no preparation. And the best help the church can give you is like, well, get an accountability partner and get some internet protection. Like Judas H. Murphy, you guys, like we are in the battle for the soul and no one's equipped us, right? And I feel like our generation specifically, our parents didn't know what the internet was. We're just like, we're just on the internet. We're just chronically on the internet growing up. And it's like, we were exposed to like, I grew up on like Live Leak, dude. Like, this is trouble. And so the church can't address it. But I think what I'm realizing now is a lot of people have fallen into despair. And man, I just want to break that off in Jesus' name, because of course people are failing at this. We've not been given the tools to succeed.
No, we have the most like turbocharged weapons of all of these evils pointed at us since, as you said, since we were children.
Yeah, dude, it's a bigger industry than football, than NFL, Grey Cup, Super Bowl. I don't know what the cup is, right? But it's bigger than everything. It's bigger than all the sports stuff combined. And so this is something that not only are we not talking about, we're not equipping people. What I've found in my own personal walk with this is, as I mentioned already, despair. It's really easy to fall into despair. But the funny thing is, man, like, how do I verbalize this in an effective way? Peter fell into despair when he denied Christ, right? Christ was like, "You're going to deny me 3 times," right? Meanwhile, Peter's like, "No, man, I'll die for you," whatever, right? And of course, what happens? Peter, when the pressure's on, right? Someone's like, "Hey, aren't you hanging out?" And they're like, "I don't know this man. I don't know Christ." Because he's obviously worried that he's going to be next to be crucified. Obviously, it's pretty apparent that the Roman state is coming down hard on this guy, right? So he denies him 3 times. And it says the crow, right? Because Christ says in the prophecy, he says, before whatever crows twice, you'll deny me, right? And Peter's upset because the crow, or not the crow, what's the word I'm looking for? The rooster crows. Judas. Yeah. The rooster crows twice. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've just denied him 3 times, like he said I would." And he falls into despair. He weeps bitterly. And I think when you contrast the story between him and Judas, like Judas, obviously a much greater betrayal, right? He literally betrayed the Son of Man. Well, what did Judas do? He went back to the Pharisees, tried to give them their money back. They wouldn't accept it. He fell into despair and he hung himself. And I think for Peter, for him, man, he went fishing with the boys, right? He waited those 3 days. And then when Christ shows up again after the resurrection, he calls him back to it, right? He redeems him. And Peter comes to Christ, whereas Judas goes back to where his sin took him, right? And he falls into despair and hangs himself. So I think it's important to not fall into despair and to just like keep fighting. But point number 2, man, what I'm learning in my own personal journey is you have to walk so closely with the Father. And so it really redefines what it means to be Christian, man. It's not enough to just go to church on Sunday. And I know a lot of people, even myself at times, have been guilty of this, not even going to church on Sundays. But I think for me, man, like lately, because I'm really entering a season of spiritual warfare, I feel like the stuff I'm doing on Twitter is really striking a nerve, right? When you're catching flack, that means you're over the target, right? So I've been trying to enter into a new season of spiritual warfare. And what that means for me is like, man, when I wake up in the morning, my knees literally hit the floor. I pray, I put on the armor of God, I recite the Lord's Prayer. I recite the entire Psalms 91, the whole chapter by memory. Psalms 23 as well.
That's a pretty good memory.
Dude, man, I mean, I actually learned that over COVID. I just was like, I call myself a Christian. Not only should I read the book, but I should hide the scriptures away in my heart. As the scriptures say, you hide your word in your heart so you don't sin against God, right? So that's how I start my day. And then I go and I read my Bible. And I kind of feel like Stonewall Jackson, man, where he talked about his walk with God. And he's like, before I sip water, I pray. Before I open a letter for my generals, I pray. Back when he was a teacher, before I address my pupils, I pray. And the guy that was interviewing him asked him, like, do you ever forget to do that? And he's like, no, man, it's become like breathing.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like I'm kind of a pathetic individual because I'm so heavily relying on God for literally everything. And that's the truth, man.
I don't think that's reliance necessarily. I think that's just discipline.
Yeah, I mean, discipline is certainly a huge aspect of it because it takes a lot of time in your day. I think for me personally, it kind of is pathetic because I'm so acutely aware of how I cannot do anything without God. Right? Yeah. I never went to school for business, man. I've been running this business for 11 years. I don't know what I'm doing. It's by the grace of God that I've had anything that remotely resembles a small bit of success, right? It's like it's God. If I'm to have success in my walk of purity, it's God. It's me literally every day. You guys have seen the meme. It's like, forgive me, Lord, I'm evil and retarded.
Yes.
It's me. He's me. He's literally me. Dude. It's like, that's how I'm walking in my life right now. And I think we as Christians, man, I think just like everything that's going on in our nation, physically for sure. I mean, I think we're headed for literal civil war. But I think even in a supernatural sense, man, there are some dark spiritual things going on. And I think I'm entering into a season of renewed and refined spiritual warfare. And I think we as Christians got to buckle up and do that, man, because I think we're at war and we don't even realize it, man. Like it's out there and it's very real, especially recently. Like I said already, the spiritual darkness, like the stuff that's being revealed to us now that 10 years ago, you'd be like, you wouldn't even see that in horror movies. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, as you brought up on like Twitter, it's interesting to see a bit of the lines in the sand. I remember the recent one I saw from you where people were getting upset at you for kind of bringing up the comparisons with the the Trump post where he claims these are what was his claim now? Red Cross doctor or something instead of trying to say they look like Jesus.
Man.
And you compared it to like Nebuchadnezzar and like Herod and Belshazzar and all that. And people were in the comments, they were getting upset. They're like, oh, yeah, leave Trump alone. Or the one that I notice is...
I swear to God, like mega people don't really exist in real life.
They try to divert as well. That's the other one that I noticed. There's the diversion of like, they'll go, well, look at the other side. What's the other side doing? It becomes, as we said like way earlier, it becomes the kind of sports ball team analogy where it's like, well, my side's bad, but look at this side. And it's like...
Yeah, it's like a race to the bottom.
No doubt.
The good thing you kind of see with that, at least, is that it draws that line in the sand where it shows what people's true priority is and that kind of thing. It's like, are you going to be kind of loyal to a random man, a politician, and just like try to excuse any of his actions or something? Or are you enough to be like, okay, even I can recognize that this is wrong?
That's such a good point. You know what, man? It's interesting because I try to stay away from politics. Like I'm a Canadian. So I feel like I have no place talking about American politics. It's not my business. But what I like talking about is spiritual, biblical things as they relate mostly to historical battles, conflicts, as we talked about earlier. But I'll always tie it to politics if it's important, like religiously, if that makes sense. Mm. And I got in trouble with that in Canada because I remember I posted a picture of an upside down Canadian flag back at the height of the COVID madness. And I said, hey, you guys, be careful in following a flag of colors instead of the values it ought to represent. And people were pissed. Mm-hmm. And when they were pissed, I was like, you're literally proving my point. Like the institutions that you think you're supporting don't mean maybe what they used to mean, if they ever meant that at all. Yeah. So maybe we should follow something else. It's kind of like the whole thing where people will make fun of like the LGBT, whatever soup, alphabet soup they're calling themselves now. They'll make fun of those people for putting their entire identity in one aspect of their sexuality or whatever it is. And then dudes will turn around and do the whole gun tube grifter thing as if that's their whole identity. Or God bless the Marines, but they'll get married in their dress blues. And it's like, we're all putting our identity in something. And in my opinion, the only thing you can put it in is of any value is Christ. And so the only time I like to talk about like politics or anything is like, hey man, I mean, for one, if you're mocking God, I'll probably get in on that. I don't care what nation that's coming from, but I'm like, man, it's hard to ignore that for sure. But yeah, man, it's a dark world out there, dude. And I think the only silver lining is that it's pushing people to realize that there is a spiritual war And then we better buckle up, dude, because like we've been dropped into it for a while now and we didn't even know we were fighting, man. Like we're behind enemy lines getting shot up and people are surprised. Like, yeah, we're in war. We're literally at war right now. What are we doing? You guys like put on the armor of God, maybe. You wouldn't hop in the trench without your gun and your helmet. And you think you're just going to go out in the day as a Christian with a target on your back and not put on the armor of God? You've probably seen that meme where it was like, it was Willem Dafoe in the whatever that Lighthouse movie was, the black and white.
Yeah, the Lighthouse. That's literally yeah. Nova Scotia.
Yeah, there was a meme where somebody dressed him up in tactical gear, and I changed it. I said, "Look at ye in your like thousands of dollars of tactical gear, but not wearing ye the armor of God."
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel, man. Like we need to be equipping it. We need to be taking the battle seriously, right? So
yeah,
as is my 2 cents anyway.
I mean, that's the thing that becomes interesting where it's in terms of, I think in a kind of white pill, and then there's a slight caveat to it. there is the uptick I've noticed kind of within, Christianity and all that kind of stuff, even within our kind of space. But then, as kind of said earlier, there is now becoming a lot of grifting within that. I mean, you have companies that will just, as we said, like they'll turn around and release some kind of design or something like that. It's clearly just trying to take advantage of that for monetary gain. Which is, that's kind of sad to see, I guess. And it's even sadder that people can kind of fall for that.
Well, I mean, on one hand, you'll know them by their fruits, right? And I'm not saying people are going to be perfect, because I mean, I look at my own personal life. It's not that I'm doing everything right. It's that I'm acknowledging the standard. So when I do it wrong, I'll acknowledge that I missed the standard.
Yeah.
And that's what it means to witness them by their fruits, so to speak, is like, you got people that are doing the wrong thing saying it's the right thing. Okay, well I know you by your fruit now. Whereas if I do,
sorry, you go.
Sorry. No, you go. A couple. Hey, yeah.
I was just gonna say, it's like the thing where even in terms of the fruits, it was acknowledged in terms of a good tree cannot bear bad fruits and a bad tree cannot bear good fruits. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. As you said, it's like not even technically the fruits itself, but the fruits then become evident to what the tree is.
Yeah, man. And the funny thing too is the reason that's succeeding is the same reason we have people in positions of power in our government that we have right now. It's like if people were serious about their walk with Christ, they'd see right through that. If people were seriously Christian, they wouldn't vote for the things that, and I understand, like, people want to exercise their right to vote. I mean, it's funny, man. I never even voted in the last election because it's like, I look at my 2 options and they both suck. And I'm just voting for the one that sucks less, but it's still pushing the political paradigm further in a direction that I don't want it. And so really, I'm not actually voting for anything I want. I'm voting for the thing that's the least stinky pile of crap. And it's furthering an agenda I'm not even being in support of. And I'm getting to the point, I'm actually releasing a t-shirt tonight. It's a picture of Patrick Bateman with his axe he's about to swing. And the caption is, "There is no political solution." And I feel that way because I'm like, man, the solution is only spiritual. I'm not going to vote one more damn time. I'm not going to vote harder. Economically, I can only pull myself up so hard from my boots. Like, there's only so many things I can do where I'm like, yeah, man, the problem is spiritual. And it's only going to get solved spiritually, right? And that's the conclusion I've come to, man. I'm just so sick of hearing, where do I start, man? I'm sick of the Christian gun grift thing. I'm sick of pastors from the pulpit telling me that I should be, I should be feeling guilty for the fact that I'm white. I'm tired of just all the crap. And it's funny too, because I'm trying to get away from that. Like, people will ask me, like, are you Catholic? Are you Protestant? What are you? And I always respond with, well, answer me this. Where did Moses go to school before he wrote, most of the Old Testament? What denomination was he part of? Tell me, what denomination was Abraham part of? right? Or was he just a man of faith in the promise? I'm so sick of being like, well, the Protestants do it better. It's like, I've been to a Protestant church, man. I know what goes on there. And then the Catholics, God bless them, they'll be like, we're the only way. And it's like, man, you guys got the same problems. There's good Catholics and there's good priests, but there's also bad things that are systemic to that whole, it's as well as the Eastern Orthodox, man. It's just like, I want to get away from man-made institutions. We want to talk about balkanizing previously, man. I want to balkanize to the point where I'm like, I am non-denominational, but I don't mean Protestant. I mean, like, I want no part of it. I want me and Christ. And I understand you need to be in church. You need to be, you know, you need to be in some type of institution that you're learning from, right? I understand the value in that, but I think we're starting to treat it like a sports ball game. Like, what jersey are you wearing? You wearing the Catholic or the Orthodox jersey?
I've noticed that a lot as well. You see the kind of, I mean, we can go to the negative part of kind of Twitter where I see the just bashing between, you know, someone says something and it's instantly like bashing Catholics, or someone says something and it instantly turns into like this big like Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, and I'm just kind of like, really? Is this like? There's definitely valid criticisms I think you can point at all three.
Yeah,
but
of course, yeah.
It's like, is it really like? And I do feel like a lot of it also leans onto just a big. I don't think misinterpretation is the exact word I'm looking for, but for lack of a better one, where it's people just have all these preconceived things that they've heard about Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox that aren't even true. And if you talk to like anyone that's actually from them, they're like, no, that's not true. It's like the Catholics will be like, oh, you guys just pray to Mary and you guys blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, that's not actually what they do. And then if you talk someone that's Protestant, then they're just like, oh, well, you guys all just have mega churches and blah, blah, blah. It's like all...
Yeah, man, I totally agree with that. The funny thing is, like, you know, going back to how it's treated like a sports ball event, what jersey you wearing, like, people ask me, I get it. Like, people want to know, it's fine. But I don't wear a jersey, man. I look at it like I'm trying to follow Christ. Let's go. Who's running with me? Like, we're not going to do it right. We're not going to do it right most of the time, right? Forgive me, I'm evil and retarded type thing. But I'm just like, I'm not wearing a jersey, man. I'm trying to follow Christ. I'm trying to read my Bible every day. I'm trying to be serious about my walk, because when I stand before the Son of Man, naked, with all the things I've done in my life, you know, displayed before me, what am I going to say? Well, I was Catholic. Well, I was Protestant. You can't hide behind that. Like, what did you personally do? How did you walk with me, right? Where's your accountability for everything you did while you were in the flesh? That's what keeps me up at night. You know what I mean? I'm not worried about like, am I in the right affiliation? Am I in the right thing? Right? Like, I'm just trying to follow Christ, man. That's about it. But
you're more like, I'm happy with it, whatever group. Put me in whatever group you want to label it as. You know, like if you can go, well, from this, then you're labeled as this. Whatever. You're like, as long as I'm on the right path, as long as I'm actually
dude.
Close.
I'm just trying to follow God, man, and we'll figure it out. But I was going to say, I'm starting to lose my voice, and we've been going for, 2 hours and 21 minutes? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a long one.
My wife wouldn't even listen to me this long, boys. I don't know if I'm going to find somebody who would, but could probably wrap it up, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no worries. I was going to say, it's kind of late where you guys are. I mean, you're not for you, because you're on Alberta, but... Yeah,
what do you guys... What time is it where you're at?
Oh, it's 11 in the morning.
Oh, 11 in the morning. Okay. What about you, buddy?
It is 9 at night on the East Coast.
That's my bedtime, buddy.
Yeah, me too. But no, it's I was trying to find like a good spot for us to kind of wrap up. I kind of a super last second quick fire question I want to ask is like, as a Canadian with the current state of things, like, are you planning on sticking in Canada?
That's a great question. I get asked that a lot. Here's my answer to it. I feel like in this season right now, I'm called to stay here because I have family, I have friends, I have a network. I've got homies that if I could pick up and work anywhere. Like, I could move to Japan and work there because, I mean, a lot of what I do is digital. I can ship to anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm called to be here because I've got a community here. And I feel like to go anywhere, I would just be abandoning my homies, right? So I've got dudes I train with. But not only that, I got a group of dudes that I'm spiritually accountable to and that I'm spiritually encouraging. I'm like, man, you got to be physically in community with those dudes.
Yeah.
And as enticing as America is, man, they got it so right with their constitution, the protections they have, the right to bear arms, all that. I mean, they're built to last. Canada's not, man. Like, we're on the way out, dude. If we are in a South African civil like collapse type situation in 3 to 5 years, we'll be in a good place. I don't even think we'll make it that long, and I don't think we'll end up that well.
Yeah.
So they're just built to last, man. And I get asked that all the time, but no, man, I know the ship's going down, but we're sticking around here for the time being, I think, man.
No, I think your reasons are really admirable. Like if I had a similar thing in the UK, I might not have left. But I found myself, and I think Nathan found a similar thing. Like like that. I had people, but not a solid community, not as like quite as entrenched, and having kind of the things you need to make it worthwhile to stick around and put up a fight. So I'm really glad to hear that. I know, fucking props to you. Like, it is, I know it is tough out there.
Pretty fake and gay up here, dude. I mean, the nice thing is it's like 40 below in the winter, and so I'm not entirely sure anyone's going to invade us just yet because it's pretty violent climate.
yeah.
But it's pretty fake and gay. We're up here, but we're dealing with it, man.
Yeah, it could be worse.
Well,
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I live in Canada. Could it be worse? I don't know, man.
You could be in Australia.
You could live in Toronto.
Yeah, that's true. I could live in Toronto. Alberta's a little more free than there. Yeah, that's true.
Yes. Could live in Nova Scotia or Prince Edward Island.
I was going to say I could live in Somalia, but I basically am right now. But I don't want to start another tangent on the way out here.
Well, speaking of another tangent, the last thing that we sign off every episode with, and it's been a while since you did one of these, dad advice.
Dad advice.
For the listeners, as if they are your small children gazing into your eyes.
Oh, man.
Looking for some kind of word.
Man,
Could be anything.
I feel like
serious.
the past 2.5 hours have kind of been your dad advice, but
generally how the episodes end up.
It can be silly, it can be real, it can be whatever.
Here's some good advice maybe for you, Bobby, because you're expecting your first. I found for me, I won't go into details about my childhood, but when you have your first kid and you look at them, what you're really looking at is yourself. And parenting is really beautiful because it gives you an opportunity to redeem your childhood, because you can give your kid what you never had, or you can react to them in the way that you wish you had as a child. You could treat them a certain way, right? So I think parenting is really beautiful if you keep that in mind, right? Because everything you got to do, like, I mean, this is everything, not just parenting. It's your business, your relationship, your marriage, but parenting, you got to be intentional, man. So I think if you approach it that way, where you're parenting yourself, you can then ask yourself, what did I need when I was that age? What did I need in a moment like this? And then it kind of helps you take a step back. Because I know there's a lot of times, man, kid gets up, pukes on the carpet at 3 a.m. I got more business stress and fires to put out than I know how to manage. And I'm like, your first reaction is anger or frustration, whatever it may be. But if you have that intentionality in the back of your mind, it helps you to just take a step back and be like, man, what does this kid need? Because what did I need? And then it just helps you take a bit of a bird's eye view, like a 30,000 foot, like look at the situation and get away from the emotion, the anger, the stress, sleepless nights, whatever it may be, and gives you a new perspective. And like I said, when you approach parenting that way, it's a healing process, man. It's redemptive. So there's my dad advice for you, buddy. And I'm stoked for you, man. First kid's a big deal, dude.
I love that. And I really appreciate it, man. We haven't had too much dad advice for dads. I should bug people for that over the next couple of months, because I'm gonna need it. I wanted to be a parent for so long. I'm
stoked for you. You know what, dude? It's not the question when it comes to fatherhood is not, do you have enough of what it takes? It's, are you willing to give everything you have? Does that make sense? It's not like, do I have enough? Am I enough? The answer automatically is no, you're not enough. You're never going to be enough.
Yeah.
Right. That's why me personally, I rely so heavily on Christ, because I'm like, I know me, man, I'm not enough. So the question's not, do you have enough? It's a question of, will you give everything that you do have? And I mean, you'll find that out real quick when baby's up all night nursing, man. It's tough, but it is so beautiful. It's so worth it. And I'm stoked for you, man. I'll be praying for you, man. It's such a beautiful thing. I'm excited.
Thank you, man. Well, no, beautiful way to end the show. Little bit of hopium right at the end.
Yeah.
There we go, buddy.
Life is beautiful, but if you make it. But anyway, man, much love. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a good time rambling about the state of things, and it won't be 3 years until next time. We'll make sure of that.
Yeah, dude, no doubt. And I appreciate you having me on. It was good to see the homies again, boys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll have all of these links in the description, but where can people find you right before we leave?
Yeah, so if they just go on Twitter, x.com/thewardall. You can just Google The War Doll. That'll show up on Google, Instagram, wherever we're at. And then, selling t-shirts, doing media production, doing a little bit. Apparently, I'm a pastor because I'm doing these mini sermons on the side. All over Twitter, so a little bit of everything, man. That's where they can find me, dude.
Good stuff. All right, well, yeah, go and find Wardall if you're not already familiar. I'm sure a lot of you already are. But, all right, gang, until next time, that's all we got for you. So,
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
okay, bye.